Good evening. This is the Town of Raymond Budget Finance Committee meeting with the Select Board. It is a workshop, and I'm calling the meeting to order. First on the agenda is new business, and I would like to start with the TIF.
Okay, I just gave you their pages for TIF. And they're going to look a little strange. And that's because right now in our general ledger, TIF is a little strange. It is split up into multiple special funds. It's rather confusing to look at. And this is one of the pieces that Brenda is going to be working on to pull it all into one fund so that it's all in one place. It'll be much easier to look at. And part of the reason for giving you, especially the first page of these numbers, is to show just that. There's one little piece in Fund 42. There's this one little, or two little pieces for the Beautification Committee in 43, a separate account. And then the bulk of it is in 43 Special Fund. So this is one of the types of things that made this a little challenging to put together. The TIF, if you'll skip what's in for expenses right now and go over to the tax increment financing district history that I gave you. This I built from the audit reports and from the commitment documents that Kurt has. And it's something that we have needed to have because we're nearing the end of the TIF. We need to know how much the carry forwards have been, how much have we actually captured, how much have we actually spent. As you can see, right now, this is as of 2/13/25, there was a balance of $694,750 in the TIF. So we have a good healthy balance there. Because we changed the TIF agreement to include broadband, and the payments for the bond for the broadband will be coming out of TIF, it's looking very hopeful that we'll be able to use the TIF up before it ends and not leave anything on the table, which can be a problem. At that point, or before that point, the town will need to decide whether they want to either extend this TIF, start a new TIF, or what they want to do with any kind of TIF district. But the big piece right now is to make sure that we can, at the very least, use all of the monies that are captured each year. And the basis of the TIF is that the original area that was deemed the TIF district was given a value, an assessed value at that point in time, what its full town value was. And that was $16,230,805. From that period on, each year when we do a commitment, that amount of assessed value is left alone. Any value that we have gained over that in that area, we collect those taxes, and those are used for the TIF projects. And originally, I believe it was the pipeline and the beautification of 302 were the two big pieces of the original TIF. So we have been able to use a good deal of money. The total that's actually been spent to date is $4.7 million out of this area. Wow. So it has been worth it for sure for the town to have done this process. And so then if we go back to the expenses, it's a list of the various things that that are allowed to be paid out of the TIF. And for instance, the first thing, salaries. 90% of one of the public works workers' salaries is paid out of the TIF. Yes, ma'am?
I'm sorry.
Oh,
You didn't
okay.
get one.
Oh. because he, most of the time, works on the flower beds and things like that in the TIF district. He continues to do that. Because the assessor assesses the TIF district, we can take 10% of his costs out of here too. That's a little far, that's like 4 lines down, contract assessor. Because the town manager manages the TIF district too, 10% of the town manager's salary can come out of this set of salaries too. So we can move some costs there. Things like the milfoil removal is put in the TIF. Supporting the Sebago Lake Chamber, the Hawthorne House, the Historical Society, things like that can come out of the TIF. So we do move as many things here as we can to try and, one, reduce what we have to raise for monies, and also to make sure that we do use up the TIF, but use it in a productive way. And at the bottom, you'll see the broadband ring debt service payment. The payment itself will come out of debt services, so you'll see all of our debts in one place. But we'll actually move the monies from TIF to the general fund so that we would be spending the TIF money from, to pay that particular payment.
Pipeline. Is that the water line, or is that the oil pipeline or propane, whatever it is? When you refer to the pipeline,
I really don't know, to be truthful with you.
isn't it expense? Then it's a water,
Portland Pipeline, okay.
what's that? Portland pipeline, is that the water main?
It's the gas line.
It is a gas line, okay, that's what I was asking. So that's taxed, that's what is being taxed? The
What
pipeline?
happened, it gets taxed, it gets taxed at its full value, but what happens is you locked the value from, as far as what the state valuation is and whatnot, at what you did when you established a TIF.
We
So
did,
the
yes, okay.
differential comes into the, goes into there. So there's, the people there, the properties there are paying their full tax amount. It's just that we get to recapture that differential.
I didn't realize how limited it was when you made that CIP. I don't know why I was thinking it was a commercial district too.
No, I mean, of course, that was, when that was done,
99.
yeah, it looked at that point, at potential projects and whatnot, so you kind of look at it as, what do you need, what are you gonna need for funds versus what do you do that? Because the state looks at it and says, okay, you can't just go hog wild and claim everything.
Right.
So you have to kind of do that, a little bit of a balancing act there. And, I mean, the original estimates on what was gonna get spent out of the TIF, I think, was 1.2 million. And,
Yes.
that's, when you look at where the values have gone and whatnot, that's, what we do spend, in total, when the whole thing is done, we'll have spent like almost 2.5 times that. So it certainly is paid for itself.
Oh, yes. And the last question was, are you in fact taking 10% of the town manager's salary out of this, or is that just a possibility some way down the road?
It's budgeted for that, it was last year as well.
It was.
Yeah, I don't believe it's physically been done as yet. So, because that would be an end-of-year sort of thing that we would,
Use if you had to.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I was thinking.
yeah, it would be too much of a nuisance every pay
Yeah.
period to take 10% of
That's
that.
why I was asking.
So logistically, it just doesn't make sense.
Oh. It's always nice to have an easy one.
Yes. Though it took days to put that together.
True. Sorry about that, that's true.
I'll entertain a quick question.
Start the clock.
Right?
Peter Levitt, 2 Levitt Road. So could someone explain, finance director or selectman or budget finance, because the chair of the selectman is absolutely correct and right on with all of the advantages. Is there an advantage based on revenue sharing, valuation, and also county taxes that also could be associated with a TIF?
The simple answer to that is yes, because what you isolated out of there counts against your town valuation. So when the county tax gets figured, it's done against the town valuation. Similarly, what the school valuation and what is done based on that. So when the state looks at total valuation, it's, you know, for that section, it's only adding in the 16 million, not the 33 million at its current value. So it does ripple down through from the county tax side as well as the school side, as far as what the impact is on that.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions or comments? Do we need a couple more minutes to look this over, or are you good to move on? Okay. Next, we have the provider agencies.
And for those, what I've done is I've given you a list of everyone who's requested things. The first hunk are ones that we do tend to support and have supported in the past. Probably some of the others we have as well, but these are more recent. And some of them we've paid partially out of the TIF or completely out of the TIF. And one, Thomas Pond Improvement Association, is one that came to the select board and did a presentation a bit ago, so. But other than that, I haven't made any recommendations. I'm really awaiting you folks' pleasure of what you want me to put in here and what you want to deal with. I've given you all the letters from the various people.
Chair Lockwood, may I speak?
Yes.
Okay, so this is an area of great interest to me, and I'd like to see us look at the possibility of funding additional social service agencies. What Raymond does is quite different than most towns, and I get the idea of being conservative when it comes to the budget, but I think in these times, particularly when you look at what's happening at other levels of government, it's incumbent upon us to take a look at what we're funding and maybe to help out people who are, in circumstances that are sometimes quite dire. I know that we have supported one agency that's very, very active in town, but there may be others. I think to take the approach that, we're just not going to do it is not a reasonable, responsible approach. And I'd also like to see an analysis of the whole issue of the bus. Now that I'm on a different side of, I guess, the equation, as far as in the past having to implement decisions, now I get to have an opinion. My opinion is we need to do more to help people who are disadvantaged and don't have the resources and assets that a lot of people enjoy. So I'd like to see us take a look at this in a hard way. And when you look at provider agencies, I know I heard the town manager just say that we support, several provider agencies, but I'm talking about the social service agencies, not a lake association. Not that they don't do good work, but to me that's a different thing altogether than a traditional provider agency. Thank you.
Can I ask for clarification?
Yes.
On the bus, when he talked about the bus, I was going to bring up that regional bus only because I've had some citizens ask about using it for students in the summer to get rides to Portland for jobs and that sort of thing. And I don't know whether they've gone up so much we don't even consider it, but is that the bus that Don's talking about, or is that the regional bus that goes around and picks up some elderly people? What service are you talking about, Don, just so I know?
I'm talking about the regional bus that every other town on the 302 corridor participates in funding except Raymond. And we no longer, I thought it was, well, I'm not going to say exactly what I thought, but basically there was some communication from the town that the bus would no longer be stopping in Raymond, which portended that maybe something had changed with the bus. What had changed was that Raymond, for a number of years, did not fund the bus, does not fund the bus. Finally, under pressure from some of the other towns who thought that was inequitable, the Raymond stop was eliminated. They did keep it for many years with us funding it or underfunding it. And so that's the regional transportation bus that provides services for people who, in dire need of the ability to get from, one community to another. And so that's the one I'd like to look at. And there are some other key social service agencies that I think we should look at besides the Southern Maine Area Agency on Aging. That one is a great one, but we put in, at least when I was there, maybe it's changed, maybe there's a bigger funding amount now. I didn't really pay a lot of attention to it last year, not being on the budget committee, but I do know that we have a very, very minimal contribution to agencies that, are very integral to helping people in need. And you can get the census numbers of the people who are being assisted. Now, that said, there are a number of agencies that probably requested that don't do much, if anything at all, in the community, and I'm not advocating funding them. I am, however, saying let's look at the ones that really provide direct benefit to our citizens who are in need and consider funding them. And the bus is one of those.
Right. Derek?
Don, do you know how much the bus is?
Like 8 to 10,000.
I think it was.
It's 10,000.
10,000.
I think it was. We didn't receive a
Well,
request.
I didn't know if he had talked to him since he was bringing it up, if he knew what the, I don't know where he went.
So that's gone up quite a bit.
Can I call upon?
Wasn't the issue in the past that they
Did he
couldn't
fall
provide
off, or is he
the
still? Oh.
breakdown?
Don, do you know how much that
The
bus
bus,
is?
you mean?
Right.
No, what happened is we had asked
He's
them
muted.
several times to,
Hold on just a second. I'm
$10,000.
It's 10,000.
Wish I'd said that.
But last I knew it was $10,000. But it could have changed.
All right.
so Karen and I had started a conversation inside. too,
Sorry.
So what happened in the past is we had asked the bus to come several times to talk to us. Some of the board members did have issues with us paying the same amount of money here to Portland as to Bridgeton to Portland and stuff like that. One of the things we did find was it wasn't getting to the people that it needed. It only had like one stop, I think, in Raymond, and you would have to park there. And it's kind of like that last mile thing. How do we get to the people of Raymond that do need that service as far as getting to the doctors, getting to the grocery store, that type of thing? That didn't work. That bus did not work for people. One of the things that in rec is that they're working on now is, because I'm going to bring it up, Debbie Tarr is working with those people as far as getting them to the grocery stores, she's working with the rec side of it as far as working with the age-friendly. And then, so I would like to see, I guess, the money put into a van, and that's something I'm going to bring up when we talk about rec, so they can be driving it, and one or two more people, but, sorry, Joe, I didn't talk to you about that yet, or maybe I did, sorry. But that's what happened before, is they couldn't get to the people that needed to get down there to do it, is what it is. So we didn't, and it kept going up, so.
Chair Lockwood?
Thank you.
And if people want to get that bus, they can grab it in Naples, at their park, wherever it is, and they can also get it in Wyndham. Do you know what I mean, to be able to go to the next town?
Okay, Don?
Chair Lockwood? I would say, unless there's been a definitive study, that's an anecdote and an opinion, not an actual, factually substantiated reality.
Doing that.
Because I think there is some of that. I think that we can do more. Maybe that van would be the way that they could get to the bus stop. But surely a van is not going to solve the issue for most people unless you're going to run it to Portland and up and down the corridor. And I don't think that's the plan. Yeah, there are going to be people who can't get to the bus stop, And if the town can help with that, let's do it. But to negate the bus altogether because of that reason, I don't think that's reality or responsible.
Okay. John?
You're probably talking about this more. Are you talking about having the bus bring them to the station, the van, bring the van to a drop-off point for the bus? Or are you talking about eliminating the bus and having the van bring people to Hannaford? I didn't quite catch.
That's what's happening now. We don't have a van yet. They're using their own vehicle to get people in town, to work with people and like doctor's appointments, and we can talk more about that in Rec too. It's just the cost, I'm sorry, and it's just my opinion, is the cost of the van, the bus just kept going up and up. And trying to get people to those doctor's appointments, because when they do get down to Portland and they have a doctor's appointment or whatever too, is they still have to either get another bus or whatever to, some people are really good at that, some people are not. I guess in Raymond, because we are so far out, I would like to see that van or two to be able to, they can call, they can schedule it, through Rec or whatever, to be able to go to those appointments. And it kind of gives that person more of a personal touch to it.
Yeah, I didn't have an issue with us paying the same amount as the towns further out. Just that wasn't a battle I was going to kind of fight. But if I could call on Peter Levitt, if that's okay, because Peter Levitt has some information about the comprehensive plan about that bus. Is that right? Did we not ask people about the bus specifically?
Let me just step back a little bit. It wasn't, the point wasn't the fact that we would be paying the same $10,000 as the other towns. The issue was and they would never come and talk to us about it, but the rate that they would charge someone to go from Bridgeton to Portland was the same as they would charge someone to go from Westbrook to Portland. In a bus service, that's not the way bus services work. It's based on distance, and they would never come in and discuss those. So it was, when you're looking at it from a service, it's supposed to be emulating what happens in the real world, and it wasn't. But
Chair Lockwood?
but they would never come in and talk to us about that.
Yeah, we asked
Sure.
several times.
Okay. All right, Don?
A couple of points. The bus did not go up and up in cost every year. And as far as not coming in to talk with us, they came in and talked with us, multiple times. I think that after a time of no funding and knowing that they were going to get no funding or very little funding, I think it was $1,000 out of the $10,000 request. I don't recall them not coming, and I haven't been there for a couple of years, but that could be true that they didn't come to a meeting. But after a while, they got the picture that they weren't going to get funded. They were going to get beat up at the meeting. And, I just don't think it's the right thing for the town to do. It's a de minimis amount of money in the scope of the entire budget. And to say that it's going up and up every year, that's absolutely not true. And it's an essential service. Okay, you could say that we should pay a different percent of the cost because the distance is different from Portland than Bridgeton, but that's not how they're running it. And the other towns, accept that. And, I think we should too.
Okay.
I'm going to stop talking about it now, but I know it's something that people do care about. And I was listening actually to a Maine public radio station where people were calling in and wondering why that had happened. And the director of the bus service was very kind to Raymond and didn't say why it had happened in the way that it had happened, which I thought was very magnanimous and nice, but it wasn't reality. Reality is we haven't funded it.
Hey, Don, I've been on the budget committee for 6 years, and I don't recall the regional bus people ever coming in and talking to us at a committee meeting. So, Dennis?
Well,
I think when we have these kind of issues, it's good to put out there the ideas, but we have a work session coming up,
Right.
and we have a lot of data to go through here and some new stuff that we just got tonight. So I would suggest that if it's something that warrants, and I think it does warrant, it has merit, we move it to the work session and get through
Yes.
all this, because I think we're going to have many more things added and taken away.
I agree.
Just my opinion.
Is there someone that can get the real numbers?
Sorry.
So that
It is-
if we do come back and talk about it, we have actual numbers of what
The
it's going to be.
last year was $10,000.
Right.
the last request
Yeah,
for the budget year last year.
I think it was last year that it was.
Which has been a consistent number.
Yes,
think it's
I
easy
do
enough to
recall
get.
that.
The other thing too, that Rolf's better explaining than I am, is we give the town manager $2,000 to spend on, you do it, you explain a lot better than I do.
What we did is instead of going in and saying, okay, we're gonna give this agency $250 and this one, we said, all right, let's give a $2,000 pool to the town manager to manage. And when these small requests come in, then the town manager makes the decision, yeah, that's worth it, and so that gets approved at that level, rather than, you know, because what we were getting was a whole raft of ones in there for $150 or $200 or whatever. And rather than looking at all those and building them in that way, we said, well, let's authorize the town manager to do that review, and they have that pool of money to spend it, you know, to spend it out of there on those other provider agencies. So they're still getting heard, you know, and that also gives the opportunity to, you know, to get some more input from that agency to the town manager or whatever, to say, you know, this is what we're gonna do for you. And a lot of times that can get parlayed into something else too, so. But it was rather than having all these small little dollar ones in there, we said, let's just put that pool out there and have the town manager manage that.
I got a question.
Okay.
What percentage is the $2,000 of the total requests from those agencies, do you know?
Half. We have 20,000 total from the people that asked this year, and that's, I think, with a $10,000 Thomas.
Oh, but
bond.
he's talking about the ones asking $150 or $200, which isn't included in those.
Well, these are all the
I think these
requests
are all
we've
of them.
received.
Yeah, these are all of them.
Yeah.
Because there's a couple.
But there's
This one's
other
100.
things that come up during the
Yeah.
year too.
Some things come up during the year.
Okay. So are we interested to get the numbers from the town manager of what the bus company has requested for the last number of years? Do we want to go 3 years or 5 years?
It was 10,000 each year.
It was 10,000 each year.
I remember being 8 at one point, and then, yeah,
The
went
last-
up to 10.
No,
All right.
the last two times that they came, it was 10,000.
Trying to look it up really
Okay, I'd
quick.
like to
I thought we had-
ask the town manager to provide the requests from the
RTP.
RTP, right? For the last 5 years, what was requested and what the town of Raymond authorized to pay the bus company. Hold on just a second. Does that sound right, Sue?
It does. I'm not quite sure why it matters how much they've asked for in the past few years, because we haven't given it. But I probably should get a current letter to find out how much they want this year, how much they're asking.
Yeah, current's probably more important.
Okay. So did you actually, hold on just a second, please. So did we actually receive a letter with a
Not
request
this
in it?
year. No,
So we don't have one this year.
no.
All right.
They
So
didn't
I'd
send
like,
a
what
letter
I'd like
this
to know is what they requested over the last 5 years
Mm-hmm.
and what we actually gave them for the last 5 years. Just like to have that information.
And the current number?
Yes.
And the current number, which is 0, right?
No, the current number of what it would cost if we got into it.
Oh, the current number, yes, that's a
What
very
the
good
current ask would be.
Yes, thank you. Okay, Don?
Out of curiosity, I'd just like to know, you know, you said over the last 6 years, that could be possible, but I'd like to know, you know, when they did attend and present. And I can assure you, it's not that they're refusing to come, it's because they know the outcome. But I just am curious, because I remember talking to them and talking to Jack and saying, you know, he says, is this have any chance of anything? And I said, probably not, but, you know, you could come if you'd like to. And so that could be possible, but it's just hard for me to believe that it was 6 or 8 years. But I'd like to know, you know, it'd be very easy, I think, to look up when they came. But I do want to make clear that they never refused to come. That's not true.
Okay, well, as it has been mentioned, we do have a workshop coming up, so I would like to move on from
I have
this.
a question.
Okay, Cliff?
How many riders were, and I don't care if you go week, month, year, from Raymond were we subsidizing the $10,000? Because I never saw a whole bunch of people on that bus.
There's not a lot from what we last time did it. It's in,
They don't keep track, do they?
Well, they do.
They do?
That from RTP.
The- we,
I spoke to the executive director.
you have to go to
in
the,
July.
you have to go to
Well, I
the,
gotta be recognized.
yes.
we had, you'd have to look back in prior budget books. But we had there was ridership, there was number of round trips, there was, so that was broken down. The number of people from Raymond averaged to be, I'm dealing from memory here, so don't say this is an exact number, but my recollection is it averaged out about 8 to 10 people.
God, it was on one of our
You know,
things
there was some
too.
peaks and valleys, but I mean, averaged out, per day, per day.
It was given in one of our workshops.
And that was spread over 4 runs, because they were doing 4 runs a day, so.
Okay.
So technically, Karen, you were looking for what they were charging, and Cliff wants to know some runners. In one of our workshop thingies, it did show something as far as it broke down. This way we can keep moving with the meeting. And
I'd have to pull some of my old books.
All right, so what I'm looking for are what the request was for the last 5 years, what Raymond authorized to pay, and the numbers of riders per day from Raymond. If that information is available. Okay.
Probably total ridership as well.
Either or.
Okay, next we have Public Works.
Excuse me?
Yes.
I see the president of the Thomas Pond Improvement Association. I'm sure he'd like a chance to speak on
Oh.
this one, because we told him to come back
Right.
when we move
I
forward with it.
apologize. Do we, how many people do we have in the room that are here to talk about the provider agency requests?
Just that.
Looks like one.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. Would you like to come to the podium and present your request?
he's the one on the stones, right? Stones to hold it down.
Yeah, what we came to.
Hi, my name is Bob Chapin. I've been the president of the Thomas Pond Improvement Association probably the last 13 years or so, and the dam meister, if you will. The last time the dam needed repair has been about 30 years ago, and at that time the town of Raymond contributed $7,500 to it. The town of Casco had $7,500 that they contributed it, and then they had additional $7,000 or so from a Sesquicentennial fund left over, and they contributed that. So that's a sizable amount. For this request, which we have given in writing as a formal request to Sue, is that we get $10,000 from Raymond and we get $12,500 from Casco, which you don't care about except as a comparison to what you're being asked for. We have about 155 Raymond residents that live on the town and whose property values are affected by this dam. So we figure it is small money to put in the hat, for all of the people whose properties are valued and who pay taxes in our town, not necessarily Casco. But Casco is a lot larger in terms of numbers of people on the lake, so we asked them for more money. And when I say more, I'm talking about really a small amount of money. When we came to the select board and the planning board earlier in this year, we did not have the results of some RFPs that we had on the street to contracting companies with engineering background that could do this work. And I think the board members knew and understand that, and so they were expecting us to come back with a different number and possibly a larger number. And so this one is we moved it up from 7,500 to 10,000. So it's not a huge jump, but it seems like a lot of money with some of the other provider agencies that you're having to deal with. But I think it's important to protect not only the kind of wildlife that exists out there, and it supports also the representation that's in both of the comprehensive plans, the existing comprehensive plan and the one that Peter's working on to get finished up here this time around to protect that thing. It's what makes Raymond what's Raymond, and right on our sign up there, we say Town of Raymond, home of the landlocked salmon, and protecting those salmon is also part of this effort. So quality waters around and controllable water levels for people who have docks and boats around the lake is kind of what this dam does. And it was, if you care about the history of it, you know, when it was abandoned by the owner, the original owner, then the state came in and said, if you guys can't create an organization to manage this dam, then we're going to tear it out, and wherever the water level goes, that's where it goes. And at that time, they were talking about going down to the original level of the stream, which would have probably vacated the water level in many of the houses out there. So the group TPIA came together to be that entity only to manage the dam, and that is exclusively what we've been doing over the past, like I said, about 13, 14 years. Well, actually, since 1991. So we think we're kind of part of the town. We think it's important to the town, both from a tax revenue basis and quality of life for people that not only live on our pond, but that come and visitors to the lake, whether they're locals or whether they're from away, it doesn't matter. They have a very positive experience. We have a good working relationship with DEP, who's the one who grants us permits to work on the dam and to change the water level from time to time. And we have a good working relationship with Inland Fisheries and Wildlife, who is the controlling agency for things that live in the lake and also that live downstream in Dingley Brook. So by working with them, we feel very positive that this work we're talking about, which would take place in October of 25. So, and why did we pick that time? It's because when the weather is very stable in the fall, and it's when the water level that we control is at its lowest possible level. So we have a minimum disruption, if you will, to the water level that's in the lake or to any of the downstream creatures that are affected by the water flow. So that's where we stand, and we've asked for that money because one of the reasons is we had an anticipated amount for what we thought the bids would come in for, and frankly, they came in almost uniformly about $5,000 more than we thought that they would. So this increase in our ask is to cover that differential and to provide a small buffer, a contingency buffer for things once the engineer gets in there and he starts chipping away some of this concrete. Is he going to find more voids that need to be filled, or what's he going to find? We had a test done not too long ago, which has the unscientific name of being a hammer test, because that's what it is. You know, an engineer will go in there with a hammer and bang on the concrete, and depending upon the sound they hear, they said, oh, there's hollow space behind that, or there's not. So we had that done since we came before the board, and they came up with the fact that there are some voids behind the concrete, but they're not large, and there's nothing structurally wrong with the dam the way it is. And we have a reasonable agreement with the landowners on both sides of the dam not to disturb the soil. It keeps it in place and keeps it operational. And the fact of the matter is the level of Sebago Lake really affects Dingley Stream more than our piddly amount of water that we put in there, but it is the way that Thomas Pond vents its water for the most part. There are no other major streams or tributaries that go out of the lake. There's a lot around the lake that contribute, and the lake also gets quite a bit of water from streams, and if you swim in the lake, you'll feel the temperature change as you go through some of the springs that are in the lake and feed it. The rest is just snowfall and rainfall, and those are the principal inputs to the lake. So there's just so much that we can do with the dam, but it's important to have it in place. Any questions?
So that's what, the same amount you asked last time was 10,000?
No, there's
No, no.
75 before.
7,500.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
75
I'm sorry.
before, it was 75 when
Okay.
we came in the fall, and now that's grown
Okay.
to 10. So it's not a huge increase, but it is an increase. So it's up to you guys to decide whether it makes sense to do it.
Thank you.
So the bids that you got, they understand that the work is not going to be done till October, and are those firm fixed, or are those variable?
Yes, when we sent out RFPs to about, I think, 7 companies, 5 responded a little bit, 3 responded in whole. In other words, they answered all the questions that we asked in our RFP, and we had another round of questions after they made their bids or their proposals back to us. And of those, well, you know, we had one that was priced out of our price range. We thought it was in the $90,000 range. And then we had two that were about $35,000 or $40,000. And those are the ones we talked seriously with, had them come out and look at the dam, do some measurements, and then come revise their proposals if they wanted to. And it grew from about 39,500 to about 42,000, a little bit more than that. And they also, talking to both engineering companies, they recommended that we have a bit of a contingency buffer in case they find situations when they actually get on the site and start doing work that need to be fixed. And of course, we're not in the business of letting contracts if we don't have the money in the bank to do it. So we also have been soliciting since October our own members, people who live around the lake, and frankly, we've done better than I thought we would do. We're up over $20,000 now from personally dedicated funds, and we plan to use those as well. And then we have a small reserve, you know, beyond that that we keep for our day-to-day operations.
You answered my question, because I'm like, I don't know how you're getting 42,000 out of 22,000 unless we're doing this again next year, but
Oh, yeah,
fundraising helps.
it does.
Any other questions? Anyone on Zoom?
I have one, Madam Chair.
Okay.
I'm just guessing that this would fit under provider agencies. Is there a category in the budget that this belongs in as opposed to here?
Good as any.
Yeah. That's what
I
I
agree.
came up with too.
Yeah.
Wanted to pose the question.
It's an allocated fund, so I mean, you can see it, so.
Right, exactly. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so. Any other questions or comments on the provider agency section?
It's 9,600.
Okay, all right, then we'll move along. Okay, Public Works.
Good evening, everybody. I apologize for not attending tonight. I'm in Florida right now, so vacation we planned about a year ago. I'm going to start right off with my cover letter. Salary account. We're looking to add a 20-hour week administration help, clerical help. That looks to be around, the total is 58 that I put in my budget, but it's split with the town office, so it'd be 29 out of my operation account. That increases it by over 29,000. The next account would be uniforms. We had an increase of $3,007. That's just increase from the uniform company and the cost of clothing and allowances and safety shoes and whatnot. The new one's employee recognition account, thank you. Didn't really have a number to fall back on to justify any of that, so I put $2,000 in there. That's gonna be used for just what it says.
What does it say?
Next account, huh?
That was SAS, I believe.
Derek being Derek.
The next account's a software account. Previously budgeted was 6,000. We increased it by 4,100. What I take out of there is vehicle tracking for 2,796. The J-Pro software for the mechanic, which is was $1,699. We've started with the ClearGov program. It's same as code enforcement uses. We're going to use it for our paving management, sign management, culverts, run work orders out of it. We're also looking at putting a new fuel pump software system in, and that's going to be $2,300 a year. One other new account is $5,000 for the purchase of shop tools. And the last well, not the last one, but then we've got road salt. We went up $4,000 in that. An increase in salt costs, and we'd like to start using a little bit more salt to help us manage the winter road conditions. The weather's changed a little bit, as you all know, and temperatures have changed, and we've been using a little bit more salt to try to keep the roads clear. The last one's winter sand. Previously, we had $30,000 in there. We increased it by 34,000, which would be $64,000 for a total amount. We usually use 3,500 to 4,000, 4,000 yards of sand, depending on the winter. Unfortunately, the company that we purchased our sand from sold this winter. We were paying $5 a yard and have been for probably 10 years or better.
Oh, my God.
And the new company that purchased them went to $16 a yard. We're in the process of working with another vendor in Gray. We actually hauled winter sand this week from them, and I believe it's around $14 a yard. But I had to put a number in there that I knew I could get the sand at, and that was the $16 a yard. That's, any questions?
Nathan, the company that bought the sand place, are they keeping it as a sand place, and that's what they're selling it?
They're the $16 a yard.
They just went up. They do the same stuff, but they went up $11 a yard.
I know, that's crazy. Wow.
Well, from $5 to $16 a yard. Shaw Brothers purchased it. It was Portland sand.
Oh,
I had a question on line 3145 for the road striping.
That was a misprint or a we didn't add the right amount of zeros to the end of the number. That's all that is.
That should be 37,000.
37,000.
It will be in the next iteration.
that's a
Okay.
good catch.
That's
That's
that I
why I
figured
had that
is
question.
zero.
That's a good catch.
I heard you.
Yeah, we didn't get much done for what's in there.
I have two questions on the page the 2 pages we just went over. The new fuel pump software, is that for the pump that just like feeds all the trucks, or is that
That is for the gas and diesel pump that fuels fire department, public works, the school department,
okay?
all the town vehicles.
And that to help figure out who goes where, somebody's gonna have a card or something, and they'll be able to see who's taking it at what time, or?
Yes, the system we have right now is an antiquated key system where everybody has a key. And once a month, I have to read the numbers in the back of it, then I give it to the office, and then they bill the school department and separate the money out for the different departments. It's
Super
pretty
high-tech.
antiquated, cumbersome, it's a pain in the butt. This new system, everybody will have a code, every vehicle will have a vehicle number, and you'll have to punch in your code, your vehicle number, and the mileage on the vehicle. That'll be downloaded to a cloud-based system, and I can go in and look at it anytime, and I can transfer it from there to the appropriate departments or to Budget Finance, and have them do it.
My other, not really question but comment would be, if we are doing this increase for this part-time person that's going to be helping you and also administrative, is there any, are we going to be looking for someone that can do some grant work, grant writing?
Yes.
Anything like that? Okay.
That was my plan, yes.
Because that would be something I'm good for.
Back on the 3,700 that went to 37,000, is that number right for the 1,085,000, or do you add another?
No, it's not right.
Have
Yeah,
to add
And that-
another
the
thousand.
total will change.
So the total will change, so it's,
What number what are you looking at, Dennis?
well, if you
Striping.
take the 3,700 and make it 37,000, does it change the balance in the bottom? And that's what I think it does, so the budget will go up
Yes.
by,
1.1.
that much more.
33,300.
So, and we've been doing a lot of that, this budget process, but, so even taking the zeros out and trying to figure out the budget, what I had to do, and I figured this out after the last process we went through last week, I'm actually subtracting out all the numbers that are now zero from your previous budget. That's $253,000 that was zeroed out. And so I subtracted that out of your total budget in order to find out what that budget would have been if it hadn't been in there. And so that's 983,000. And now the number over here is going to be larger than that. So I tried to find out where it's all coming from, so, and try to find out if I could see any kind of way of balancing it, because it's, at that time, at that stage, it's a $102,000 increase when you take out the zeros, when the numbers that they took out of the budget, and then look at what's being requested, and that's before we go to 37,000. So, you know, take 4 off in that, that's 33 more. That's more than 100,000. It's a $130,000 increase in the budget. And so I couldn't I tried to find out where it's coming from, and I don't see it. It doesn't seem to make sense, which bothers me because I'm a number guy. Anyway, so then I looked at your salaries. I said, all right, let's take a look at that. And what I did with the salaries is I divided what's current, February 13th, by the 7.5 months we're into this. And that number's an average of $42,636 a month. And this is just a way for me to figure out the budget because, again, it's more work than I've ever had to do in the last 4 years. So we have 3.5 months left. And if you multiply 3.5 times that 42, that is, again, it's simple math. It's 191. I subtract that from the 319, the balance rather of 259. It's a considerable amount of money that we're already going to have left over from this budget. It's going to be it's going to be actually 511. If the winter is your overtime, that's the highest hit on your budget. That means it'll be 511,000 total. And your salary is 637. That's $100,000 more than what we're actually going to spend this year. That's a lot more than assistant. So is there anything else besides an assistant in there?
No, we're missing one position in Public Works. We weren't able to fill that position. So that's gonna make up a chunk of that, not a lot, but not all of it. And we're low on overtime right now. We're down, I think the boys are around 100 hours instead of we budget for 250 hours. I think they're at 140 right now.
And so how long you been short of a person? Sorry.
Over a year.
Yes.
Yeah.
It includes 4%.
10%, 4%.
Well, even 4%, we're talking $100,000 on a
We
three.
also went, Dennis, we also went, geez, I want to say it was 4 or 5 months last year, short 2 people. We didn't fill 2 positions until fall.
I'm just doing this year.
Well, that is this year.
Oh. Okay, well,
It's 20, the 4%'s 20, I don't know, 24 grand on $600,000 salary.
yeah,
So
you're
that and that-
working off in 600. Let's work off in the 579. That's what he has in it. And he's only going to be spending 511 times 4%.
I did, it's 23,160.
And
It's almost 20.
Andy budgets 250 hours a year for overtime and hasn't used that much this year. So that's a chunk
We're gonna
there.
get snows.
Okay, well,
Because
that's
we don't
just
know.
that's a large increase, is all I'm saying. When you take out the budget size, taking out the zeros, that's a,
Well, it's
you know, $150,000 increase. I just tried to do it with salaries to see if we could save some money there.
Yeah, and it
Well,
is difficult to figure out with, like you said, with the zeros, because last year we broke out all of the various employee benefits.
I prefer-
And we put it back to where it was, so
I
that
mean,
all the
it's-
employee benefits are under one category, and we won't have it
When
broken out.
you're budgeting, you have to budget you budget based on the full, what the full complement would be. Same thing we do with, in the fire budget, you know, because if you look at that, what they actually spend a lot of times is less because they're, you know, they don't have as many EMTs as they're that they should have, you know, that they had in the budget and things like that. So if you're short an employee, but that position is still open, if you don't have it in the budget, then you overspend the budget.
You can't hire them.
I'm just pointing out the numbers, saying that if you look over the past few years, in 2023, they actually spent 500. The next year, they actually spent 451. This year, they budgeted 579, and they're gonna spend, if we've already gone through the busy part, they're gonna be spending 510, 511. So that's already $60,000 more. The short demand, that makes sense, you know? And then you're gonna add in another $100,000 is my point, by the time you'd make the change. So,
Wait
and I'm
How much
asking,
is a man then? How much did you figure a man to be for a year?
that was a $60,000 difference.
A
You
man is
said
60 grand?
42,000.
So if they're down a $60,000 man and they're adding a $29,000 to $30,000 man, and you have a $24,000, that's right up. That's about where your 100,000 is, with with the 4% man that's not there that is in budgeted for, and then a half new position. You add those three together, it's almost 100 grand. Is that what you're off? Is that what your
Yeah, you're
increase
saying
is?
it's 100,000.
What's the
It's-
total increase?
The difference is 125,000.
125.
That's,
Yeah.
So
yeah.
60. What was this one? 50.
And the
What's your new person? Half of 58? Is that what
29.
you're saying? So 29.
20, half of 58,
So
that's
sorry,
on
it's
the high
100
side.
grand, so it's 123,000. 123,000 and 160.
130.
123,000.
Plus, you've got all the overtime too, Derek. You've got,
60
one
down
of
a
my
man.
guys doesn't
40
take any overtime.
40
but
for
I
the,
have to
this
budget.
person, 30 for this
29,
person,
yeah.
sorry.
That's
So
90.
90, sorry, so it's 115, it's gonna be 113, 160, and you have 125, so it's off like $2,000.
Good find.
If you put all those people into place, that's 60, I don't know, it might not be exactly 60, it'd probably be, we're just using whatever numbers you had.
How many men you have now, full-time?
Good job on that.
7.
And
This is
you're
7
normally at 8?
full-time?
7 budgeted, correct.
7 full-time budgeted, and you have how many actually working?
5.5.
5.5?
There's a half
I'm
of
a
body
man.
out there.
1.5.
Have you ever had 7 for a full year?
Yes. Yep.
Arm and a leg.
Okay, well, I was just looking for some savings, that's all I did.
5.5 people.
So, Nathan, sorry, the software, it's the same thing as what Code is using?
The ClearGov, yeah.
All right, so is it the same program that we can,
Yeah, can we tap into both?
yeah, can we tap, yeah, exactly, can we tap into that, or you
No,
have to have it?
No,
Okay.
this is a separate program.
Okay,
It's a separate module in the same program.
Correct.
okay.
Um,
Your equipment for rentals and equipment maintenance is up.
Correct.
I know we went to literally just rent a rototiller, and the cost of it was ridiculous, and we went and bought a new one cheaper than what you could rent it for. So it is crazy out there right now.
Is there a reason that he doesn't have heating in his budget with the 3 buildings that he has?
I do, it's in the.
It's under town buildings.
Town buildings. Yes.
But it's not his budget, it's combined with town hall?
It's,
All the town buildings
Are
need
under
to be
Public Works.
maintained, and it's under,
I'm not talking about maintenance, I'm talking about heat.
Yeah, it's under
but
Public
even
Works.
that's there, it's all
Oh.
lumped together. Mhm.
we
So
put it all
public
in
safety is the only
one
one that has to pay their own heat bill, has it in their own budget?
Town building.
'Cause I
Yes.
saw it in theirs.
Yes, I believe so.
account. Yes, and the library does too. We put their fuel out, their propane out to bid. I need the volume of propane that they go through to get the pricing that we've gotten.
Karen, how do you want us to ask some more questions on this? Because we have Public Works Cemetery, we have Public Works, all of these things. I'll just wait till we get to the trucks and the CIP thing. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Right. Thank you. Right, Sean?
Just a quick question. So you said you're down a man, but your overtime hasn't gone up this year?
No, my
You're
overtime-
short.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, just that. So you're down a man, but you haven't been dipping into your overtime a lot this year?
140.
No, we have not.
The overtime typically comes from snow plowing.
So that's my,
Yeah,
that's my,
99% of the overtime's plowing. And I've got one guy that doesn't take any overtime, he uses comp, puts it all in comp
Those
time.
darn snowstorms only will come
And we
at
hope we
night.
don't get another one.
Yeah, I'm hoping we're all done.
Yeah.
So you're not having to use overtime to make up for the gap of not having an employee?
I'm the gap, and I'm salaried.
Okay,
Oh, okay. Well, thanks for the
Thank you.
clarification.
Yeah.
that's gross, that's gross.
Can we keep doing that?
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Well, he's not in Florida, he's not coming back.
He's in Florida.
Yeah.
I elect we don't kill our workers.
Yes.
All right, are there any more questions or comments about the Public Works budget? Any on Zoom? Okay, all right
Chair
then.
Lockwood? Chair Lockwood?
Yes, Don?
I was wondering if Nathan could talk a little bit about the software. I know we have had software previously, and so I'm a little out of date. And what became of that software, and what's the ClearGov? What's the difference? And then another thing I'm interested in is, I think I heard you talking about tracking the animal control officer vehicle with GPS. And I know we were looking at that a few years ago. Did that ever happen in Public Works and Public Safety? Are those vehicles tracked as well?
I'll go to the vehicle tracking first. At this point, the only vehicles in town that have vehicle tracking is Public Works. That happened, you were still here when that went into effect.
No.
The J-Pro, the ClearGov, that's a much better system than we had. Most of the software, we had a lot of trouble with the programs previous on the pavement management and no ability to track culverts, no ability to track, well, there was some ability to track roads, street signs, and road complaints. This does a very good job of all of that. We've been in the process of putting that into play. We've had it a year now. They came out and did a survey of all our roads and street signs and put them into the software. And it's just been now getting ready to start using it. I haven't had the help to do it.
So this new administrative assistant, will that be the person that manages that?
That is correct, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
I have one on the tracking. Public Works, so the Public Works trucks are tracked, all of them, or just the
Yes,
plow trucks, or what?
Everything that's on the road's got a vehicle tracking device in it.
How much is that, roughly? Do you know or not?
$2,796 a year.
A year? Is that on a line item?
Yes, it's
Oh, I didn't
under
see
account 813210 software, and it is the second item, first item actually, vehicle tracking is first item underneath that.
The first
It won't
item in
be-
his narrative.
Oh,
Yeah, it's in my narrative.
Gotcha.
Broke out.
Sorry, I was looking at the line items. And what does that help with?
Speeding complaints, where's the truck? How many times did it go by my house to plow the road? All that crap.
Excellent. That's excellent.
Does, I don't know, he can't answer that. Why does,
Nathan, you have under uniforms, the mechanic, for shop rags, hand soap, and stuff like that. Wouldn't that go under supplies, or does it really matter?
I didn't because we get it from the same company and it's on the same bill.
Okay,
And to be honest with you, it's easier for me to bill it all and do the same thing.
okay,
The only thing in that might come up is a little bit as a hand soap. The shop rags, the uniforms, those are all from the uniform company, and they're cleaned and laundered by the uniform company.
thanks.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Sean?
Nathan, I have a question. Can you elaborate on this part-time position that's going to be split between you and finance? And I understand grant writing too. So could you just give us a job description of what this person will be doing for the town?
This person's gonna be assisting me for payroll, bill paying, and clerical work for Public Works. My hopes is to get somebody that's got grant writing ability and go look for some grants for erosion control, pavement, and stuff like that. I'm not sure on the town office side what they're gonna be doing. I believe it's data entry for them. You'd have to ask Sue on that.
Yeah, it won't be for finance, it's for the town manager.
For the town manager, excuse me.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
Just data entry, Sue, or anything beyond that?
There will be other responsibilities. Data entry is a very general term, but one of the responsibilities will be for the cemeteries. I have a database that I'm working on to gather all of the information for all the cemeteries, and I've been working on it since I've been here pretty much. It's not complete. It will take a long time to be complete, so I'll need someone with database skills.
Okay.
Chair Lockwood?
Okay, all right, go ahead, Don. Can you next?
Okay, so what happened to the division between the assessing department and the town manager's office, sharing an administrative person? What happened to that, and why did that change?
It changed because with the reval coming, she will need to spend more of her time with Kurt.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Dennis?
Nate, it's kind of exciting, this whole program you're talking about. So you will have a schedule, because you said they evaluated the roads when they came in?
Correct.
And did they locate the culverts? You said something about culverts too. Have they now got a map of the town, and so that the citizen will know what roads you're gonna be using on, and doing the work on, and what you've done the work on? Is that the database you're talking about?
Yes.
That's excellent.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's excellent. I like that. It's progressive. But the culverts are included?
Yeah, well, they're working on the culverts for me, because I want that as part of the data collection and the information. We've got a handwritten one right now that's hard to find stuff on.
And that's like diameter, length, all that kind of stuff? Or is it
Yeah,
just
diameter,
location?
length, year it was replaced, what the product is in there. Most of our culverts are plastic culverts now. I've got a few metal pipes left, but for the most part, when we redo a road, we change everything over to the ABS plastic stuff.
Perfect.
Any other questions or comments? Are we good to move on? Okay. So next we have, solid waste is next.
Cemeteries?
Cemeteries.
I have solid waste.
I got solid waste as well.
I was just going through the book.
Oh,
I've got cemeteries too.
yeah, it's a
Cemeteries
little
are
white one, tab.
Cemetery is
Number
pretty
13.
straightforward.
Yeah. I'm working on the agenda too.
You ready?
Yep.
Yeah, cemetery is pretty straightforward. We've had an increase in the contract. We're gonna change some stuff in the contract. We had some learning pains from last year. We changed from a contractor that we'd had for as long as I've been working here, probably 30 years. And we had to adjust some stuff, and that's what that amount is there. The rest of it is Sue is your software and repair and maintenance.
Did you get somebody new from last year, for this year?
No, that's
All
the
right.
same contractor. We have a
Okay.
3-year contract with him. We're gonna,
Nope, that's all right.
this is something that isn't discussed in.
Yep.
Chair Lockwood?
Don?
Yes, Nathan, the North Raymond Road Cemetery fence, is anything ever gonna happen with that? I know that was something we talked about when the
Correct.
Edwards sisters were still alive, so it's
Yeah.
really getting bad. Is there a plan there?
There is a plan there this year. Run into some bumps on that. I was uncomfortable making the decision by myself to what to put in there, and obviously pricing got away from us. That is on the plan this year to look at that and see what we can do and what we have for money to do it. I've got 10 grand set aside for it, and I think we can do something for around that 10 grand, whether it be part of it this year and then the rest of it next year. In front of the new section, that's all labor intensive. We just gotta get some more trees out of there and get that cleaned up, that make it pretty, I guess, make it more, well, I don't wanna call it inviting, but probably not the word to use.
Thank you.
That was good.
People are dying to get in.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, any questions or comments on the cemeteries? Okay. All right, so now you're gonna do solid waste?
Solid waste, the increase in solid waste is contractual. We're on the last year of a 3-year contract. We are right now working with Casella on extending that contract. We have an option in there to do another 3-year extension on it. I haven't got any news on that. All I got is what we got for the budget. My only concern in that, and I don't know if this number is right, is the trash tipping fees don't look right to me. They could be fine. Maybe it was a recycling tipping.
The
I think it
number?
was recycling. Recycling tipping fees.
Yeah, double.
Don't look right. Something's wrong there. And I apologize. I don't have any of that paperwork with me. I grabbed everything I could on my way out the door, Saturday morning, and I didn't bring it with me, but I will have it for the workshop next week. But that number doesn't look right.
Which one, the recycle?
Recycle tipping
Cycle
fee.
tip 31.
Okay, not, I,
65.
first you said
Well,
trash tipping.
no, it does. I guess it does. It was
Pretty
54
same. It's only 1,000 more.
54 Yeah, it's 54,230 from the previous budget, so I stand corrected on that. 55,856 would be right. Because that went up this year. That's right. The tipping fee for recycling went up a little bit.
Maybe the resident should tip themselves.
I think you're gonna see next year, Casella's pushing really, really hard for automated pickup. Wyndham went to it this year. It was a huge increase in their, well, I won't say it doubled their trash and recycling account. I don't know that for a fact, but that's what the rumor was.
Why would that double?
Well, I think wasn't part of that due to the fact of buying
Correct.
all the
Right, so they
bins
bought 'em-
first. So I mean, we had, in the recycle committee, we had kind of looked at that at one point, and we got some demo bins and whatnot, and you had gotten some pricing on what those would be. They're not cheap.
No, they're $70 a piece when we bought them. 67 in that range is in the back of my mind. It was 67 something a piece.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they've gone up, as everything does.
So,
I mean, of course, the thing is, if they were to go to that, I mean, the other issue that they had was they didn't have, the truck they used in Wyndham was like 2 years late. And,
Yep.
So
Yep.
just getting the equipment they need to be able to support it was an issue. But I mean, if we had to outfit the whole town with that, then that would be a big chunk there, and we'd have to look at how we would go about that anyway. But I guess, the bigger side is, Casella may want to go there, but when they look at the problems they had on getting that truck the last time, their thoughts may push them down a year, 3 years down the road before they can
Right.
support it. And then you still have the issue of what do they do on the camp roads?
Correct.
Right.
oh yeah, that's a
This
big
was an issue.
My question is, so with Wyndham, did the town purchased all the cans for the residents and then you came and picked them up?
Yes.
And for one question, and the second question is, I have both of the fancy cans up at the end of my road now, and I saw the guy the other day with the automatic. I thought the guy that comes to Raymond had used it. I thought, but
They do
Some
something.
of their trucks have what they call a toter tipper on the back of the truck.
oh, that's probably what it was. Yeah.
Yeah, the system they've gone to in Wyndham is
Oh, that's
automated.
the front loading one.
No, it's side
Side load.
load,
Side,
and
I mean, okay.
there are front load ones, correct.
Yeah.
But they're dual product trucks, so the truck will pick up recycling and trash. And
Oh, okay.
personally, there's a lot of concerns there for me. We've got one of the lowest contaminated rate for recycling, and that's because it's hand-picked. If the driver, the guy on the back of the truck opens the top and says, no, that's trash, the trash truck is usually behind it and will pick it up as trash. Now, you're not gonna have that, because the guy's not gonna be able to look in the can, he's gonna be sitting in the truck and grabbing it and dumping it in the truck. And when I asked that question, I didn't get a really good, solid answer out of it, so we're working our way through it, but I'd like to think we're gonna get a 3-year extension for the very reason that Rolf has stated, that trucks are 2 years out. It takes a year to organize this thing, and maybe we go out to bid. There's another company in Wyndham that's coming up he just started this year, and maybe it's time to go back out to bid and see what he does.
When does the contract actually expire?
June 30th.
Of this year?
Yes. No, I'm sorry, we got one more fiscal year.
Oh,
12 months.
okay.
But it does expire on June 30th of
26,
26, yeah.
okay.
So this is something we gotta work on, and I'm gonna work on through the summer. I gotta get it, I'd like to have an idea of what we're gonna do before we get into winter.
Chair Lockwood,
Yes, go ahead, Don.
so who's negotiating the contract these days?
Me,
Okay, so the town manager's not involved anymore?
no.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, all right. Thank you.
Well, he also has town.
Town building.
Okay, town buildings, moving right along.
Yeah.
So down to, we moved everything on the buildings that I'm responsible for, which is 47 Main Street, 389 Webb's Mills Road, Sand Salt Building, Town Office, and I think I'm missing one.
Library?
Library. Library kept all his heating and utilities on
This
his-
building?
In that building, there you go, the technology building. We moved them all into one account for ease of operation. The salaries are for the cleaning person, she cleans the two buildings, town office and technology. Building maintenance is minor maintenance, like cleaning of the equipment, heater, the furnaces and stuff like that. Supplies or cleaning supplies, heating. I didn't go up much on the heating oil. I'm hoping that that's ironed out. That heating would be propane and oil. We're using a local contractor right now, and I'm hoping to be able to keep using him, and hopefully oil's stabilized and we're not gonna see that bounce around anymore.
I have one on this one.
Okay, Derek.
On building maintenance, 23 to 24, and then doubled to 24, 25, and it looks like you've spent just under $3,000 so far. Is that correct?
That is correct.
I mean, I know it's not a huge number, but is there any way you think can tone that one down, or do you think we will?
I think we're through we had some problems. We had to replace some pretty expensive components, and hopefully we're through that.
Well, when you're talking about buildings too, you guys have the trailer out at the Sand and Salt Building.
Correct. The
So-
sand salt building would be 2 sand salt buildings, well, 1 storage building, 1 salt building, and our lovely little trailer.
Okay, so about that trailer, because I know before when you came to the select board, you had mentioned that it's in pretty sad shape. So what is the condition, and what about the heat, the water, all of that now?
We've got pretty good, we had some mold problems twice in it now. We've combated that, and then, of course, this winter we had some huge roof leaks. It's a used military trailer. I don't know how to even sugar it.
Is it something that you are thinking maybe that you should maybe replace? I don't know.
No.
I mean, did you get the mold all cleaned up? Is
Yeah,
it
we got
the
I
roof?
think we got the mold all cleaned up. I hope we did. As far as replacing it, there's a lot of stuff that's kind of hinging on that. If one of the projects that we're looking at coming down the road, the town garage doesn't go through, then yes, we're gonna have to replace it. And that's there's money when we get into the CIP for that,
For that building?
for a building, yes.
Nate?
Dennis?
I gotta tell you, I'm really impressed that the heating for all these buildings you just talked about is 3,500. The electric bill is 22,000. Is that because we're using more of these electric split units everywhere? I mean, my
No,
heating bill's almost that much in my house.
The technology building you're in, that heater over on the technology side barely runs because of the electrical equipment in there. The town office, we did put heat pumps in, so their light bill's a little higher, which is due to be expected. The maintenance garage is primarily heated with waste oil. We don't use a lot of heat down there, and the trailer's propane, and when we leave, we turn it back down to 50. And that gets shut off in the summer.
Wow.
So,
For
when
3,700.
are we gonna talk about, like, his trucks, the CIP?
CIP.
We'll do the CIP next.
Yes,
Okay.
He treats the town well.
Okay. So, all right, you want to do the
That's
CIP
great.
next?
yeah, let me, I can
Okay.
find it. You ready?
Not quite.
The right page.
Should be towards the front. Get it, got it, here.
CIP.
I don't think that's it, is it? I think it's,
Yeah, no, it's this one.
you should,
Oh, no, it's total. That's everyone.
I know, that's what.
If,
Plus 5 4
I think it'd be easier if the new one we were handed out, if Public Works has got any changes on it, because I've highlighted a few things. If it hasn't, then we can work down and maybe they could just tell us what changed on the new sheet. That's a lot of reading to do tonight.
They didn't give a new one.
Yes, yes, we did.
That was a total one.
Right.
Oh.
But
Yeah,
that's
they
what-
gave their own.
Right,
You-
but I was working off.
So
of
do
this.
you have that one? For some reason, I do not have that CIP one.
This was just handed out tonight.
Yeah, she already handed it out, right?
You
Yeah.
should have a summary of the CIP. It's 20
Yeah.
to 25, 26 summary for the Public Works CIP equipment. It goes to
She gave it to me.
2027, 28.
Oh, you know what, let me look under public work.
Yeah, I like it. I just want to know if it's the same as this.
The only problem is it's different, because this one's
Oh,
all
second in the
detailed
public
out,
works.
that's just older.
That would probably be,
That was, I would assume,
all right.
that they just totaled out and put it in.
And I think you'll find the biggest difference, Captain Devon's over here with the proposed expenses. I didn't have the Public Works expenses when I made it first.
Okay.
Okay, so which sheet do you want to start with?
Teresa, are you still missing? something?
Nope, I found it, I stuck it under public works, thank you though.
Does everybody have the sheet that says CIP plan?
Yes,
Yes.
Summary
Oh,
of
the
plan.
single one.
The little ones. This one.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. I was gonna just go down, read down through that. That'd be, I think would be the easiest if you guys wanna do that.
Sure.
You ready?
Okay, everybody ready?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Go
All right.
ahead.
Do it.
So carry forward for 24-25 is 146,731. We're requesting an increase of $100,000, bringing my request to 325. Reason I did 100,000 was the cost of equipment has gone up. Well, we've been at 225 for 10 years, I think. So on this year's purchase, we've we ordered it in September, was the 2026 International. Lettering and miscellaneous stuff is around $5,000. That's gonna bring the cost of that truck to 262,706. That is gonna replace the 2009 International that's got almost 200,000 miles on it.
2000.
We're also gonna replace the 2007 three-quarter ton GMC. That came from, well, it was originally the town of Gray. We purchased that from Casco Bay Ford used 5 years ago, I think. That's got some, we had some rust repair done on it, and it's getting back up there, so it's getting kind of crusty. I want to refurbish the F-550 and refurbish the loader, which is basically paint and repair, both of which really need it to drag out the life of those a little further. The 550's got a 7-year, 100,000 mile bumper-to-bumper warranty on it. At this point, that truck goes down the road good, runs good. It's got, I don't think it's got 40,000 miles on it. I think we should hang on to it for a few more years and reevaluate it, but it does need the dump body painted and some other stuff touched up and re-undercoated.
And what's the year of that?
That's a 2019.
Is that what you
How many
said?
miles?
I don't think it's got 40,000 miles on it yet.
Okay. And do you guys spray the bottom of these, or what?
Yes,
Just
yeah,
fluid
they
fill?
all go up to, we used to fluid film.
Yeah.
Fluid film's a pain in the butt. It
Yeah.
makes shit hard to work on, and you gotta do it every year. We came across a product up to Ripley and Fletcher, that is seems like a much better product, and we've undercoated everything, the small trucks, and the big ones, when they get painted the first time, get undercoated.
And what does that run roughly per? You do the dump trucks with that too? The sand and salt
Yeah,
trucks?
the small dump trucks are around 500, and I think a pickup is 250 to 275, that range. And we did, they say it's every 2 or 3 years, I think, on those. Excuse me.
That's it.
Yeah, it's not bad.
And that, what is that? I don't know if you know the exact thing, but what does that make a frame last X amount of years longer, or and how long does that last?
Yeah, yeah, oh yeah, you look at the 19, I think that's been 5 years, maybe 6. And normally we would have to send that truck out to get the frame sandblasted and the dump body sandblasted, but all we're gonna do is the dump body. And then they'll reapply the stuff on the frame.
So how long does that last? That $500?
I think that pickup was done truck was done 5 years ago.
So every 5 years.
My pickup was done 2 years ago. I think we've had that truck 2 years, and it looks like it did the day it came out of there. We also, most of our trucks all have the aluminum bodies on. They're all Fords and they're
Yeah.
aluminum cabs, so that helps.
So, can I ask a question?
Sure.
Sure, thanks. So I know that the Public Works, usually the normal procedure would be that you are the one that's out getting the vehicles for the different departments, is what it is. And so when you're bringing those in, you're having all of them undercoated. Reason I'm asking is because I know when Public Safety was up here, they have the Tahoe, and they said that they have not had it underneath coated at all. But I might have misunderstood. I thought I heard that they said that they purchased that one themselves, maybe?
Yes.
Someone could correct me
Yeah.
on that?
Yeah, most of the stuff that I purchased for public safety is used stuff. The fire inspector's car, we've given them 2 pickup trucks over the years, 2 or 3 now, I think.
But
Yeah,
are those undercoated?
What's that?
Are those undercoated?
No, the 18 is not, and the 16 is not. We didn't
Why?
come across this stuff until it was 19 or 20.
Oh.
550 was used had been used when we did.
Yeah, but we.
New. I think the Tahoe was new.
I think my question is, since those have come out, why can't we or haven't we done those so that they
That
don't
would
rust
be
out?
That would be a fire department question.
I thought she said you did it.
No, Tahoe.
No, we do the
He-
maintenance on them.
Yes.
All we do is the maintenance on them.
Yes,
We-
but the Tahoe he bought, the fire department, and I wasn't 100% sure, Tahoe was
Yeah.
bought by the fire department, not by Nathan on this one.
Yeah, Bruce
So-
purchased that.
So they
Chair
didn't get it
Lockwood?
undercoated.
Chair Lockwood,
I think we need to.
Don?
All of them.
Yeah, absolutely.
don't you
But that's
take care
kind
of
of
the entire
always-
fleet, Nathan, everything that you possibly can do?
Yes,
So
I
it
do.
makes sense for you to do that, and I also have a question, I mean, wool wax, fluid film, that's kind of what people use. What is this new special product? I'm curious.
Well, it's a new stuff that's Line-X puts out. I believe it's a Line-X product, but it doesn't stay that gooey, slimy stuff, and it doesn't wash off. We're having problems with the fluid film and the wool wax. Pressure washing, cleaning the trucks, we're washing it off. And it's, time you're done doing a pickup, you're into it for $1.50 right around there if you send it
No,
up.
I'm not disputing, that sounds like a really good idea and a good product, but I think we should do it in public safety too.
I think so too. I absolutely do.
Trucks are rusting out.
Absolutely.
Like, because that one was purchased in 2015.
The Tahoe?
The
Yeah.
Tahoe on that.
Yeah.
If we have been doing this since 19, it probably would have saved that thing. Because that one has low mileage. He said it was great except for the air conditioner wasn't working and the frame was rusting out. But if we can
Yeah.
spend $500 every 5 years.
I would have to ask the mechanic. I haven't personally seen the truck. The mechanic had it in there, I'm gonna guess a couple weeks ago and did brakes on it. Maybe it could be a little bit longer than that.
All I'm saying is this should be
Right.
Yeah,
across the
and I think
board.
Right.
you could take something like that Tahoe and both the,
Because,
I think the GM pickup he's got down there, I noticed the inner fender wells up in the frame, on the body were rotten through. That's a 16, we bought that in 15 or 16. The 19 should be fine, it should be done. The body, the body's all aluminum and the frame's steel,
Right.
but I gotta guess that,
Sorry, I don't want to blow all our time on you with that, but it's just something I want to remember to bring up when we get him back.
so going, are we ready?
Yes.
yeah,
So going forward, we're gonna have total expense, on 2025-26 of $442,706.25. That's gonna give me a carry forward of 29 grand to go into 26-27.
Sorry, Nathan, I'm sorry, could you just, is that shoulder repair box? Is that the shoulder that you were talking about, with you and I talking about doing the shoulders of the road?
Yeah, I sent you a picture of it when we
Yes.
rented it last year. It goes on the front of the loader, and, we'll probably pay that in 2 years on having the contractor. come
I'm
in
all
and do
for
the
it.
shoulders.
I'm just
Yeah.
asking
So-
if that's what it was.
That's something we can rent out to other towns?
Yes.
And
yes,
that 65,000, is that a new product or used?
That's brand new.
Okay, thank you.
Right, before we go forward, Deanna has a question.
And I know my microphone had been turned off, but can you
You're good.
hear? Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I just have I know that in the past you had said that sometimes you had the vehicles that you had replaced, you had sold to other towns or things like that, knowing that they're older and probably rusted and might not be worth anything. Do you know what you're going to do with the 2009 plow and the 2007 GMC?
I would trade both of them. I'm not gonna sell to another local town again.
No, totally,
Yeah,
perfect.
we'll trade them in. And the 70, like on that GMC, that's
What's left of
75
that?
What's that?
What's left of a 2007?
It's not great. And it belonged to the town of Gray that has a different maintenance program than we do. That 75 grand for that pickup truck is an inflated number, because I don't know what the trade-in's gonna be on it. I think the truck's gonna be really, probably realistic, 65,000, somewhere in there, and you had 10 for a plow. So that's where I'm at on that, but the international, at the very least, if they won't take it for a trade, it's gonna go to Keenan auction and get auctioned off.
okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions before we move on?
Do we want to go down through the rest?
All right, do you want to go?
I'm good.
So, once we get out of this year, it gets, I wouldn't call it sketchy, but it's a guess. I'd like to replace, the last of the used wheeler dump trucks that we purchased. So we would look to order that truck in September of this year, because it takes a little over a year to get it. Preliminary numbers, they said about the same, so I put 270 on it to, hopefully we're gonna be somewhere in that neighborhood. We're always looking to upgrade our sweeper, and I'd like to think that we could definitely do something for around 30 to 50,000. So that would give us, if everything went as planned, would give us a $320,000 expenditure for 2026-27, giving me a $34,024 carry forward for 2027-28, and that would be look at the 550, possibly replace it. Scott's truck, which is a 2020, would replace that and refurbish some more equipment, because by then you're gonna have a couple of dump trucks that only need dump bodies painted.
The sweeper, can that be rented as well?
Yes, we did rent that out to New Gloucester with an operator last year. And I think we're probably gonna do that again.
So we do the sweeper, we do the side of the road grass.
Roadside mower's already tied up for, next summer. We've got New Gloucester, Minot, and
Wow, that's great.
Where does the revenues go? Where do they get that?
What's that?
Where do the revenues go when you bring them in and the bill? Like, I'd like to see the billing, how you do it. You have hours and man
I don't
hours?
know where
and-
that money, yeah, that goes into, revenues. I don't know where, that's a finance question.
You put it back in this,
No, she said if it's salaries, like if they hire a man.
Sends a man with it. So what they pay goes into salaries.
but the salary's already budgeted, so you'd roll it back into it.
And under revenue, there's a line 3470 that is Public Works revenue.
What's the number on it?
34.
3470.
Thank you.
I don't have revenue.
No, I don't either.
You should, at the rear of the bus.
I mean, I got a revenue spot, but it's yellow to yellow.
Yeah. Mine's yellow.
Oh, you were given revenue last time, so I didn't bring the extra pages with me.
Just blame me.
But they are in the,
No,
are
they've
there
got it-
some here from last time?
They were, I don't get it.
I don't have
All
it.
right, they'd be in mine.
I took them all home and hid them. Not really.
Secret.
Oh, wait a minute.
We got 3 different things last time, and they weren't nearly,
You have the expense report and revenue
I
report
see.
under history.
Maybe it's in expense and revenues.
Yeah, if you put it in expensive revenues, it might need to be.
I don't know if I did. I'm just saying there is a spot for expense and revenues, but this is expense and revenues.
Let's see.
It's just weird that nobody has it. So that means we all put it in the wrong spot. It's highly
so that's
likely.
why I was asking the number, so I could try to find it.
The revenues, no.
Revenue, is it a
It's a,
Trifold?
it's a fold out.
Yeah.
It says.
It's in the
at
back
top
of-
it says revenue.
it's in the back of expense and revenues.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and that's supposed to be just revenue.
So it's in,
It's at the back of expense and revenue, and you have to, you move it over to revenue. There's a spot for it.
I haven't believed.
Yeah, that's
It's
it.
under
No,
E.
right in the beginning.
I'm sorry, what was the
Expense
number
and
again?
revenue is
34.7.
orange tab.
Thank you
very much.
Very
Down
end of
toward
the
the
orange
bottom.
tag, right in front of admission, administrative.
You guys find it? 'Cause Eric's really good at showing me where it is.
So this year so far, they've brought in 77,000.
It's the pink
That
one.
is cool. What a difference from the last couple of years.
Yes,
You had to use that code.
Yeah.
and having the equipment that we can rent out.
All right, Public Works revenue. So is that, that number is pretty much
Worry about it.
those 3, like rent is just renting out our stuff?
Pretty much,
Okay.
yes.
That's with Derek, whenever our equipment goes out of town, it goes with an operator.
Yep.
The mowing machine is too expensive to replace, and it can get destroyed very
Oh.
easy.
Plus, it's
We've
just
got a
easier
very, very good
because
operator in it.
it's easier for both towns, I would assume, just because you're like, hey, if you screwed it up, it's
Correct.
on
So-
you anyway.
He's
Well,
pretty high
you'd
at
be hard
77.
pressed to find someone that ran it better than Eric.
Yeah.
Did you find it?
And he must make the full amount, whoever goes.
Coupon's in the back of it.
Cool. Trying to learn as much as I can.
Yep, that one. Put that one in the revenues.
So we budgeted
I'm just gonna leave it right where it is.
15 and so far we're up to
Yeah.
77. Jackpot. Let's get some more stuff to rent.
And we don't have any people that do our work in town.
Getting off topic.
Yeah, you are.
All right.
Oh, the last thing in my CIP stuff, well, next to last thing is paving. We have not developed what we're gonna pave this year. I've got an idea, but I'm waiting for pricing to come back from the paving companies. And typically, I would have that number, because we usually renegotiate with the contractor. We're not gonna do that this year. We're gonna go out to bid. We had some trouble with the last contractor over the last 2 years, getting stuff done. The quality wasn't what I expected, so we're gonna go out to bid. And that number can change quite a bit. It'll change what I'm gonna pave. I'm asking for the requested amount, and I think it's 410. And we will fit into what we can do with that money. The facilities account, I'm hanging on to that to find out what's gonna happen with the Public Works garage, and if we have to replace the trailer. And some of that money is gonna be used for the new pump system, the monitoring system for the fuel pump. That wasn't in my budgeting, so that would come out of facilities. I think that's it, right?
That's it.
So you're carrying forward on the paving 276, and you're asking for 410 again?
Correct.
To make it that 686?
Correct. I think the tentative plan is we gotta put a surface on Tower Road. We paved that last year. Elizabeth, Viola, and Pine are bad, and they need some under drain work. That's gonna suck up quite a bit of money right there. Martin Heights was another one we're looking at to see if we've got enough money to tear that up and repave it.
Was pipeline in the list too?
Yes, pipeline too, yes.
That's ambitious,
Pipeline, where's that?
down behind the shopping center.
It's not,
Oh,
it's
yeah,
not,
okay.
Yeah.
it's not too bad, Dennis. Tower Road's ready. We ground that road last year, did all the drainage work. So that's just gonna be sweep it, call them, and go pave it. Martin Heights, most of the work in there has been an ongoing project, so that, I think we've got 2 culverts to change. And if we grind it, they're gonna grind it, and then we go in and back up the pavement, and do the loam work. That'll take a couple of days. Viola and all down by the shopping center, that's still not that bad. There's probably maybe 3 weeks worth of construction in there, and then we turn it over to the contractor.
So the paving would cover the gravel for the shoulders too, even though it says
Correct,
paving? You're
yes.
saying paving covers the tree work, the shoulders, so you don't separate the gravel, the gravel for the repair of shoulders?
No, I don't. Oh, repair shoulders, yes. Well, if it's a big repair, no, but the regular maintenance stuff, no, that'll come right out of operations. In the paving account would be catch basins, culverts, tree work, adding gravel to the road, paving, fixing the driveways to match back into the road. Anything that's got to do with rebuilding the road on that time, at that time that we're in there. And, with the exception of striping, I don't take the striping out of there anymore.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Are there any further questions or comments? Anybody on Zoom have questions? John?
All set, thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Nathan.
Thank you.
Enjoy your vacation
Yes.
in the warm
And
weather.
Madam Chair, could we swap the library before not Public Works, you just finished, before Recreation? Because
Parks and-
Joe's gonna stay anyway, and Richard would just as soon go home.
This was easy last year.
What are you watching,
Funny.
Survivor?
Oh.
Gee, I'd just soon go home too.
All those in favor?
Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Joe. I'm happy. My new dog will be very happy to see me. So yes.
Brought it.
Thanks for having me. So just to preface this, I took your advice from last year, so I'm asking for money this year. The first one is going to be salaries. So that'll cover raises, the possibility of overtime, because I believe if I get this right, if you work anything under 40 hours, you have to get overtime now. You can't get comp time. We used to have a part-time that got comp time instead, but now she has to get overtime. And I would like to increase the on-call position to 30 hours per month. Right now it's at 15, and it's somewhat working, but like take the last 2 weeks alone. I've had 2 call-outs last week and 2 call-outs this week. I've been having to work alone once in a while, which is fine. I can do it, but it's not ideal. So that's the first one. Department recognition, again, kind of just like a stab in the dark. $1,000 so we can do a fun winter party. I'd like to do a fun summer party. And we have a lot of volunteers, so I like to give them, a birthday card with a little gift and a Christmas present or a holiday present. And, like worst case scenario, if someone passes away, like flowers would go under there. So $1,000 for that. Software is going to go up by $500 because there might be, we don't know yet, a 4% increase to our integrated library system, which is like how we do everything. And an additional $111 for the van delivery, which if you read the news throughout the summer, van delivery is very important for libraries, and they picked a new vendor way beyond my powers, and they're charging us now. So there's that. Travel and training is going up just a little bit. Conferences, they cost money. I'd like to go this year. We're going to go to the Maine Library Association conference, and the Friends are paying. But I'd like to, make it so they don't necessarily have to pay for all this. Dues and publications are going up just by a little bit. This will cover American Library Association and Maine Library Association team memberships for everyone, which gives us like publications and access to like their listservs. And if we want to include public libraries, that would be $95 extra. So it's either $365 or about $450. The supplies, kind of just a general increase. I don't think I asked for anything last year. And we are offering water bubblers now. I got it for free. It's a fun story that I'm not going to tell you right now. But the patrons do enjoy, we didn't really have a nice water access before then. You just had to go to the bathroom, which isn't nice. And also the previous director bought so much paper before she left, so I'm finally going to have to order paper. So there's that. All right, I'm getting less nervous. Postage, I am doubling it from 50 to 100 because I send out so many thank you cards because we get such nice donations. The books and media, this is going to be a big one, and the digital media. So you can see there's a new line, but after I submitted this, we all kind of talked and we decided not to split them, just combine them. The digital media was going to be for our Hoopla subscription and our cloud library subscription. So if you don't know, Hoopla is our new streaming service. It's really fun. There's music, movies, books, audiobooks, everything you want. We budget about $2,000. I'd like to increase it to $2,500 just because it's a pay-per-use system. And at this point, it's around $5 a day that gets broken down to. So regularly, people will call us and be like, hey, I can't get my book today. And I'm like, no, you can't. You have to wait until tomorrow, which isn't a big deal. Everyone's really nice about it, but it would just be nice to raise that a bit. And then just more books and DVDs are always nice. I know I used the excuse for the children's collection last year, but it still needs some updating. Someone came in the other day and asked for books on the Renaissance, and we didn't have any, which is embarrassing, but it happens. It's called a gap in the collection. Even the best library systems, it does happen. So again, I'd really like to do that. This year alone, we did young readers and easy readers. We updated those. We're slowly going through the nonfictions, but the Renaissance is in the 900s, so we start at the zeros and work our way up. And picture books.
I love it.
So again, that is a big increase, I understand. But it started at a little number. And then library programs. People love to come to the library to listen to our events and lectures. And our story times and, Spark Arc will come. So that's important. Again, the Friends do pay for a lot of this, but I like to just assume that they won't. So it'd be good if the town could cover everything. Heating, that's just going to go up. We really never use the heat. This year I turned it on twice because it was so cold the heat pumps wouldn't work, but I've never filled it up. So I'm just going up by $100, just again, because. Phone and utilities, last year we were at 95% and utilities was 90% we spent on the budget. So that's going up by 500 and 1,000. All right, I can breathe again. What are the questions?
Okay, Ralph?
Yeah, I think that the computers and whatnot are picked up under the technology budget, right?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, because I know that we're getting forced into having to upgrade some of that just because of the Windows changing and whatnot. So, so that's picked. Because I know Kevin had that in there, but I just want to make sure that's picking up yours too. Because at one point they were it was separate, but I think we got that all squared around last
for
year.
anything I need. Yes, definitely. He's bought us a new printer the other day or month. Yeah.
I like how he says after each budget items, just because. Imagine if everybody else did that.
Derek?
I have one. How many full-time employees do you have?
Me and one other. One part-time and then the two on-call.
Two full-time, one part-time, and one on-call?
Two on-call.
Two on-call, sorry. Okay. That's as of right now, not what you're asking for.
Yeah, the on-call is going to be expanded.
Okay.
And on-call is just people who said they will come in and work if you need them to fill in?
Yeah, so
Or special
today I
events.
called someone because we had a call out and I wanted to get ready for this. So
How many hours do they usually get?
I budgeted for 15 a month, but
Per person, per?
Nope.
Total?
Yep.
Combined?
So now it's going to be about 15 each, so 30
Okay.
total. Yep.
Well, and you guys also had a thing before that it's better to have two people there.
I don't want my staff working by themselves. I will work by myself because salary,
Right.
it is what it is. But I don't want them working
So
by
if,
themselves.
so if you're not there, yeah, that's what they always had before. Is,
Yeah. Yeah, even if it's a volunteer, that counts too. But again, I don't want to rely on the volunteers.
Yeah, it's good practice for safety.
Yeah, yeah. We have
Even
the
for
cameras.
yourself, you really shouldn't either.
I mean, I really shouldn't. Some librarians do. The Maine State Library suggests that you don't, but we do have cameras, and like that's kind of what they're worried about.
It's a
you know.
dangerous place over there?
You know, it's a tough neighborhood. Yeah.
Pay a lot of paper cuts?
Yeah, a lot of paper cuts. You know, people
Late
walking
nights.
off the street. And late nights, 6 o'clock sometimes. Yeah, it's tough.
Just remember, he worked at the prison before.
Yes, I did. Yeah.
Are you serious?
I really did. Yeah.
You did? Oh my God.
The correctional center, but yes.
Oh, too funny.
Yep.
So this is really rough. No.
Yeah.
I don't have any questions right now.
So,
All right.
do you mind giving your story hour shout out so more people know about it?
Yeah, please. Wednesdays at 10:30 are all ages kind of, and then Thursdays at 10:30 are for little babies. And we also just started a partnership with Be the Influence, which is like a Wyndham Raymond Sebago kind of situation. They gave us a nice amount of money to buy new toys, so that's going to happen after story times on Thursday. It's kind of just a place to gather more as a community, and a good excuse to get more toys for the kids.
Cool.
Yep.
Don't cancel tomorrow, my wife.
No, I know, I will not, I promise.
Really not.
I mean, I can't promise, but you know, we'll see. That's part of the call-outs, you know? It happens, it's flu season. Not me, I don't get
Chair
sick.
Lockwood?
Frank?
I just want to say that the library is the happiest place in Raymond.
It's very nice. More happy than the Historical Society?
Don, go ahead.
More happy than the Historical Society.
Chair Lockwood?
Yes, Don?
Every time I go in, I always mention to Richard that we should be asking for more money, so I want to make sure that we give them the adequate amount of money they need to continue to grow and develop. I agree with Frank, it's the happiest place in town, and now being retired, it's a place where my wife and I go obviously a lot more than we did before, and so I want to make sure we support them the way we should.
Okay, thank you, Don.
Thank you. And every year I'll get less nervous, I promise.
Okay. Sam,
Yes?
did you have a question?
No.
Oh, sorry.
No.
Okay.
He just-
agree with Don.
All right, I think we're all set then.
Awesome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all so much, I appreciate
Thanks.
it. Have a good night.
You're not staying?
It's
a little bit loud. Good luck cleaning up the pee and poop.
I can see why it's the happiest place in Raymond.
Pretty depressed guy, huh?
All right.
I'd like
Parks
to
and
marry
Rec?
his sister.
You should get some antidepressant for him.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
I'd like to start, if that's okay, with the report I did on the budget and fund structure for Raymond Parks and Rec. I realize in like the last 5 years, there's been a lot of changes from when we first started and where we are right now. So that should be, I think it was additional add, but to my binder. So we have 3 distinct fund structures with Raymond Parks and Rec. We have what's first is the operational general fund, which is what's tax appropriated, and that's helps support our full-time employees, myself, an assistant Parks and Rec director, and some supplies and stuff like that. We also have Tasseltop Park, which is completely separate from the general fund. This is an enterprise fund, so this is to pay for all of our Tasseltop part-time employees during our season. This pays for like our operations manager, our park maintainer, and our park attendants that work the gatehouse, concessions, and any other type of maintenance, and all other costs with Tasseltop Park come out of this. And that's generated by our few revenue streams. That's concessions, our cabin rentals, our gate admissions, memberships, everything like that. And our third fund is our special revenue fund, and that's our programs and events funds that is also generated by the user fees. So that's anybody that's from pickleball to summer camp to we have a Mad Science program coming up. That's a plug. So anything, please register. So anything like that. So that's generated by our user fees, and then we take the expenses. They have a expense account associated with those revenues. So those are the three distinct funds that we've created, and this has changed every fiscal year. But this year with Brenda, we've worked hard on getting everything out of what was 43, and Brenda might be able to be more specific. And I think it was 45. I can't remember.
40 and 43.
40 and 43. So now that's all under 15. So all these funds are now under 15, and then they have their designated accounts for it. So.
And if I can jump in real
course.
quick, not only are they removing everything under one umbrella, but Brenda has opened up a completely separate bank account. They have their own checkbook. It's completely separate, as an enterprise account should be. So it's finally set up the way it ought to be.
Yeah, and this will help with reporting. So now all of our revenues, they get generated from our rec management software. They get accounted for by their line item, and we can now run reports to see that balance of our revenues and expenses in real time. So it's going to be really useful on creating more data for us to look on and forecast in how healthy these enterprise and revenue accounts are funded right now. Any questions on that?
Is that just Tasseltop that has its separate checking account, or all of them?
All of rec, and within that, there's a section for the programs, a section for and a section for Tasseltop. And what's the other piece you have? And your general.
Yes,
Parks and
yeah,
Rec.
yeah.
So this is going to be a completely department within our structure,
Yes,
not treated like any other department.
that's correct.
I could see it with the enterprise account. Tasseltop makes sense.
Yeah. Well, and the intent originally was that it would eventually become self-sufficient, and that's a part of this.
Yeah, and to clarify, the special revenue fund, which is all of our programs and events, acts kind of like an enterprise account also for our programs. So that's strictly, say basketball. You pay your user fee. We are expensing for equipment and some, maybe paying a referee or anything like that. So that's coming out of that special revenue fund. Right.
But we're still funding three of them, and a little bit to Tasseltop, right? We've got an operating budget on every one of them, salaries on every one of them, correct?
Yeah, that's not coming out of operational though. That's general. General fund is only right now paying for me and Riley for our assistant Parks and Rec director and director.
Which is the one that's under the Parks and Rec tab.
Yeah. So anything that's a salary line under Tasseltop is coming out of Tasseltop revenues and expenses. So that's how we're balancing that. So like special revenues is the same. That salary line is paying for our part-time staff for summer camp, our after-school program staff, stuff like that. So that's not being designated out of general fund at all.
To make it easy for me, because I'm a little slow, I could try to step everything. So Parks and Recreation Department, 1210, is the only thing the town is funding. The rest of it is
Correct.
all treated like enterprise accounts.
Correct, yes, yep. And I know that's been a lot of changes, so
No, I
the
like
last
it.
3 years, so.
Once I know what it is, so that that when you said you made 316,000 in revenues,
Yep.
that rolled back into the special events or whatever.
Correct.
That's part of that budget, and we're not funding anything in that.
Nope, nope, so that's all, from the community, from, non-residents coming in using our parks and programs, and so, yeah, it's everything that's, coming in for our, to support our programs and services and stuff like that, so, yeah, that's been huge to, that's not as much of an impact on the taxpayers, because it's not coming out of general fund or anything like that, so. Yeah, so that's my little report and kind of updating what we've been doing and where we're going for Parks and Rec. So I think we're in a really good spot right now. Any questions on that?
Yes.
Not that part. Are you going down light items or not?
I could start that now. Yes.
Is that what you're doing?
Well, I wanna put out there that vans thing.
Okay.
Oh, what? You just, yeah, spend more money. So what happened is I had a conversation, Debbie Tarzan in the back there, and she's the one that's been doing the age-friendly side of it too, and she can even talk more to it. But when you've got the small van that we have out there on the side and the bigger one, I think she says like 15 seats and above, you have to have a CDL license. And so with this, if we were to get vans that almost like the school does, I think Wyndham Parks and Rec does,
Yeah.
the RTP only comes in 6 miles or 5 miles in from the Wyndham line to pick up people. So anybody else that's outside of that, and technically that would probably be to where my house is on 85 and not up further. But if we were to get vans where they can use them to pick people up, take them to the doctors, people can schedule through the rec, Parks and Rec program or whatever, then they can be able to help the age-friendly more get what they need. And like I said, Deb and Joe can probably speak to that a lot better.
So what is that? The van has to be 15 and under for no
Yes.
CDL. 15 and under.
Yeah. So right now the 21 passengers.
That
CDL.
gray, not the big gray one,
white
but the
Not the
little
gray
one?
with school bus one. Yeah.
What's
both.
that one do? Both of them are over 15.
Yeah. So right now I'm the only one that can drive them.
Say you drive 8 people, does it matter? Hey, you have to do it no matter what because
Doesn't
you can hold
matter.
that?
Yeah, because of the seat capacity.
Its capacity.
Okay.
Yeah.
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 Chair Lockwood?
Don?
Now that I understand that idea better, I think that's a really, really great idea. And, one concern I've had for a while, and I know we have to grow the program, and Joe's been doing that, and I think in a good way, are more services for our older citizens, for people in need. And so I think that sounds really great. Thank you.
Great.
I have two simple questions. The white van holds how many?
21.
21.
Yep.
And the gray van holds how many?
It's a school bus, so anywhere from 50 to 60, depending on size.
And you're the only one who can drive both of those.
Yeah, he's the only
Yes.
CDL license.
Yes. Yep.
But hopefully maybe some retired school bus drivers might
Yes.
want to come on for
We do have 2 on staff right now. The only issue is they drive school buses, so they're limited on the time and when they can do it. So yeah, we have a few that are retiring from the district that we're trying to see if they'd be interested in driving for us.
Could you explain how the Article 13 and 14 say basically we can, you can use 121,000 plus out of Tassel Top for,
Where are you?
well, I'm looking at the article, these are above and beyond the salaries that we're dealing with, so Article 13 that we voted on,
Yeah, but where are you?
it's on the back of the book where the annual report is, what we voted on.
The Warren article.
Oh, for
Yeah,
last
warrant
year,
article.
yes.
Yeah,
Colin.
so I just was trying to understand how this played into his budget. It says that the Tassel Top Enterprise Fund, the amount of $121,000 can be spent for administration activities of the park. Is that your administration, does that go to your salary or just the people in the park?
No, this is, so because I think you have to have an article just to be able to spend the money that you're raising. So this is still like projections of what we can bring in and spend. So you have to have a warrant article, I believe, and Sue is better versed to be able to spend it.
Yeah, you can't, with municipalities, if you don't appropriate the money, you can't spend it.
But I'm saying, is
So-
this out of taxpayers or just the revenues from
That was the
Tassel Top?
revenues from Tassel
Okay.
Top,
Yep.
yeah. That was what we projected we would be spending at Tassel Top, to give us the ability to spend that money.
And the same thing with recreation programs. If you pay for basketball or whatever, that money rolls over to just stay in the program. So it
Exactly.
allows you not to put it in surplus or whatever.
Right.
So it's a way of keeping the money in, okay.
Well, and it
Well,
gives them the
because
authority
Dennis,
to spend.
otherwise the article would have said raise and.
Yeah, I understood that part of it. I was just, my question was how it interlays when I'm trying to figure out 4 different departments within one that's different than any other department. And by the way, I'm happy with what took place here. I'm just,
It's
It was-
confusing.
it
It's
was-
because it's,
I spent
but
a
we
lot of
treat it as a
time just looking
business,
at-
right? That piece
Right.
of it, and it's
Yeah.
kind of still in the municipal language of looks like appropriating, but yeah. So we have to put a number down because we definitely raised more than that this year. So that then allows us to expense more out of that enterprise account, so.
Okay, so what I did with you is the same thing I did with Public Works. I took out all the zero accounts, which is the health insurance moved, which again, I really appreciate. Next year is gonna be so much easier. And that's 64,000, and I took it off 24, 25 budgeted amount, which was 268. So that brings you down to 204. So that's really what you have for a budget moving forward, and you're asking for 294, which is a $90,000 increase. And I know a lot of that's in salary, that you, I mean, there's.
Yeah, 76% of it. is
76?
salary, yeah.
And that's the added position you're talking about.
There's a couple added positions. I could just go right to that if you want.
Well,
Budget
help me with my
request.
budget, I'll
Yeah,
tell you
yeah.
that.
Well, he's
So-
gonna do this now, so that's
Okay.
salaries in that line one.
Okay.
Yes, I'll go through the
Well,
budget
that's why I'm
request.
asking. I thought we were gonna start.
And this is all, the budget request is all under operational general fund. So I'm not asking for anything from Tasseltop Enterprise or Special Revenues Programs accounts. So yes, this is our, what we're asking for in that $90,000. We're asking for a recreation programmer and park maintainer. This is a full-time position. It should be,
Wait, do you have that, or you read it? You're just, is this
yeah,
your
this is
own
my
notes?
letter, yeah.
Hold on,
I
okay.
think it's in the back.
That's what I thought. I'm like, I thought I saw this.
It's the memo.
Yep, I gotcha.
It's
It's the one with the picture.
pictures on it, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's the big increase, and that'll be in our salary line there. We definitely need some on the ground help on programming, especially as this rec director position becomes more administrative and more involved as it keeps growing, as far as organizing and making sure we're still adding a lot of value to our programs and still trying to fit all the services and needs for the community. So this position would help with the programming piece, like on half-day Wednesdays for after school, which is every Wednesday. We don't have our high school staff to come work for us because they are in school. So we've had a scramble. Riley's been picking up that Wednesday. I've been there in the beginning of the program. Now we have some great community members that are stepping up, but they also have their own lives. So we're trying to fill that need as well. So that's just one idea. We're also with the tennis courts and pickleball courts. That's going to be an expanded program right there. We're looking to do youth tennis, social tennis leagues, and hopefully more pickleball like tournaments and stuff there to help even raise money with the concessions. So that's why I've also made it a hybrid position, park maintainer, someone who can help get Sherry Gagnon Park ready for our summertime. Nathan is his staff, and they help out when they can, but they are extremely busy with other projects as well, and clean up from the winter. So someone that could help groom the softball fields, get the bases lined, chalked, get the concession stand going. So when we do have events there, we can generate some revenues, or even have like the PTO come and run concessions during a pickleball tournament. So we could use that as a fundraiser source there as well. So just need a little bit more of that man or woman power to help with that space. So I think we're in the right direction, but it's definitely a need. The other increase, I'll skip number 2 and go to 3, and this is why Debbie's here. We're looking to do two things here. Is move age-friendly Raymond under the Parks and Rec umbrella. Right now they operate separate. They are, Debbie is volunteering and she has not asked to be paid, but she is working hard to provide some services that are much needed, and I think some compensation would be great, and to further cement our resources together. We've driven a few times. We have another one scheduled to bring people from Jordan Bay to RES for their Pen Pals program. So we've already incorporated that. We also do some all-age bingo, where we try to get grandparents or families and young kids to the Raven Village Community Church, where we're located, to come in and play some bingo, and that's been well received as well. So I think moving this line under us, it'd be $20,000 of part-time help for the year, and then a added $3,000 account line for Age Friendly for if they want a guest speaker, or if they want pay for some coffee for maybe they're doing a cribbage drop-in type of thing. So that's the added part that we're also looking for in operational.
So the 20, so that's not in here, right? I just missed that.
So that
The
is
20,000, the
that-
three.
There's the 20,000.
This one says
for that.
requesting 3,000 to cover supplies and part-time age-friendly Raymond coordinators. That's just, the 3,000 would just mostly be supplies, right?
That's just the supply line. Yeah, that should, sorry, I must have missed that one. It should be $20,000 in our salary line.
So.
That's in 1210.
Okay.
1,000. So yeah, so that, yeah,
So
was
the
not trying to sneak that one
So
by.
20,000 is in the increase of just the salary up on top, 1,000.
So yeah, on top of that recreation program position. So that's
And
the
then-
biggest increase.
Okay, so
right
then
there.
the other rec position would be around 61,375, roughly.
Yeah, I think I had it high end,
Okay.
60, low end, let's say 54,000.
Okay,
So what is the salary number for the full-time new employee?
61,375.
Asking.
Oh, sorry.
So, and where
I'd like to
would-
know what Joe put in for a salary for the new employee.
Oh, yep, that was, I think that was 56,000, but I'm actually blanking on that right now, so I apologize. It would be, I can get that number to you. So,
So what do you have it as?
Well, it's an increase of
Yeah.
81,375. If he said that one's 20,000, you minus that off, it'd be 61,375 is what's left. So if those are
Well,
the only two,
Does your salary line include increases
so
for this year?
4%,
yes, it does, yeah.
So
Yeah, so I
that-
think that's
that
around
number.
56,000.
that's probably the
Yeah.
difference then.
Yeah.
That would
so-
skew the number.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So where on this budget, and I have no idea because I asked to make sure, where would you put a van to add to this?
That's a great question. I don't think I have a vehicle line. I think that.
No, he said you'd have to add a
You'd have
different
to
one.
have
So-
Another one.
Yeah, so we'd have to add a vehicle line and, or have, Nathan's usually been purchasing, vehicles for us, so, and that could be, I guess, accounted for in here for.
Do you guys like that idea?
So,
What was Nathan trading in? He was traded in 2007.
Yes.
Those are trucks.
Yeah.
yeah.
So are you, okay, go ahead,
Oh,
sorry.
it's okay. Can we use that to trade into
Well,
possible?
well, he's using the trade value on that to lower the acquisition cost of the truck, so.
He already has plans for that
I
trading.
mean, so essentially, this, I mean, you'd have, this is a brand-new acquisition, so you'd have to pick it up under a new acquisition.
Plus then it's not going,
Someplace. I mean, essentially, you ultimately add it into the CIP, because you're gonna have a replacement 5 or 8 years down the road, so.
Yeah, he did say he was using it something already, so, yeah, no, I'm good.
But I
So-
mean, you'd have a one-time acquisition cost to start.
And where, I don't know what that cost would be.
Right, we don't have a number for the cost on the vehicle.
Yeah,
No, 'cause
I can get some.
I was just wondering, is there another town that has a model of this in place already?
Yeah, Wyndham has it right now. So they have vans and they're the opposite of us. We have buses and passenger vans that are bigger than 15. They have all 15 passenger. So they're
many
they're
do
the
they have?
opposite. I believe they just purchased another one, so I want to say 4.
You said 15 passenger.
Yeah, they
can we do like Nate does? We'll rent you out with the van.
Well,
Okay.
the
Good
other
drive,
piece
yeah.
is when you add the van, you gotta add an employee too.
Well,
So
but
they each-
Debbie can do the van.
Well, you can't
Yeah.
do, if it's as important as it has a potential to be, it means you're gonna need an employee just to drive the van.
It'll grow.
Yeah,
And
which
it'll
is
grow.
yeah. Debbie's doing it right now with her car. So yeah, so
Yeah, she's driving around
Debbie
with her
would
own
be-
personal.
No,
vehicle,
I
so
understand
yeah.
that. The minute you make it a program, it'll grow at 100 miles an hour.
for sure. Yes, it'll be. I know the one in Wyndham has a drive program as well for age friendly, and that's I can't remember the number, Debbie. They were getting about 10 or 12.
We all get about 8 or 10.
Yeah.
Every Tuesday, they do
Yeah.
grocery run.
So every Tuesday they're getting about 8 to 12 people
Wow.
for that.
Do their vans have a lift?
One of them does. Yeah, one of them is, I believe, I think they just purchased that is accessible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because when you look at the demographic of who's going to be using it, you probably need that at
Yes.
some point.
Yeah,
I'm
we
all
use
for
it
it.
for, yeah.
Will there be a user fee to use this?
For age-friendly, I don't know. I believe it's a free service in
Yeah.
Wyndham.
And
So
it's more, to me, it would be free, because we're trying to get the elderly age-friendly, I don't want to say.
Even a minimal fee
You could ask.
to help offset some of the expenses.
And there are
Yeah,
grants,
yeah.
so,
Ask for a donation.
yeah, there is one thing about age-friendly Raymond is you can
Yeah.
start pulling in a lot more grants for these type of programs. And that's,
grant
rate.
when we met with age-friendly Wyndham, that was one thing, and why, not the only reason, but a good reason why to be under Parks and Rec is this, the director and age-friendly coordinator can start pulling these grants to see what can be, free for the public, but it's just, paid for by these grant opportunities, so there's that chance too.
Okay.
I have a quick finance question on the 4%. Is that just full-time employees, does anyone know, or is that the whole salary?
The whole salary.
Whole salary?
Mhm.
Okay, thanks.
I have a hunch, though, the federal grant's gonna dry up a little bit. As much as we'd like to rely on them, I'm pretty certain that they're gonna dry up, so, but we do have generous people living in this town.
Yes, we do.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Great, and the only other major increase was projects and maintenance line. It's 1210-4025. We are going to have a lot more projects and stuff at the church. We're going to have, we order infield, ball field mix for the park. The concessions is also, we're going to look to try to get some upgraded equipment and update that a little bit. So just with all that coming forward for next fiscal year, we're going to look at increasing that and have some designated money so we don't have to raise it for donations or stuff like that. So we're looking
Would you be putting that under the CIP for your projects?
for projects and maintenance?
Separate out the projects? Put it in the CIP so that we can plan ahead for it?
Is it a capital?
They're not
It's a
that big,
capital
though.
improvement.
Yeah, it's smaller, detailed stuff.
You're talking about the snack shack, right?
Yeah, snack
It's kind of like a
shack, yeah.
grill, kind of I'm trying to think what used to be in there too. A lot of it was the hot dog machines or the smaller ticket items.
So
Yeah, I didn't know,
yeah.
projects is a pretty big
Yeah, so
driver,
we
so
use-
I'm just
yeah.
trying to get at what
And
you're
we
looking at
use this
for
account more
projects.
as like a special projects account, so something that, like when we're starting Parks and Rec, program side of things, I mean, we had no money, so we used this to kind of get some of those programs started. So it got us rolling with Camp Raymond from 23 kids to we're at 60 now. So it's started to help out, get things started. And we want to try to attack that with Cherry Gagnon Park. I do have a CIP line that's playground, and that is more for the equipment side of things, like add more playground structures, anything major as far as baseball field updates, stuff like that. So
And what is your planned maintenance?
what's that?
What is your planned maintenance?
Planned maintenance for the park?
Well, you have the line here, it's called projects and maintenance, so I'm just wondering what is the maintenance that you're planning to do?
That is concession, getting the concession, if there's like paint needed or equipment like that in there that we need to upgrade. That is infield ball mix. If there's any, we have a groom or two for softball field. So if we need to, buy an additional piece to that, we can buy it. So.
Well, you have a $10,000 increase on that line, so do you know what that 10,000 is slated for?
Yes, it's also for the Raymond Village Church. Like we're buying things there for, buy like a table cart. Like we're buying some things for the church as well, so we can upgrade our.
What kinds of things are you buying for the church?
So, like,
Not
we're
for,
buying.
Not for the church, no.
church, but for
They're
that,
using the
for that
church.
facility.
So like either coffee or,
That's why
or like
I just
dishes
wanted
or paper or
clarification
Yeah,
on
something.
sorry,
that.
not buying
Yeah,
it for
no.
the church, we're buying it at our
Because
location.
they're using it.
It doesn't stay there when they leave. They will take it.
Okay.
So, yeah.
No, to be used there.
Oh, to be
Yes.
used at
Use
the
it.
church.
Yes, for like the age friendly, for like the
Depends where you put the,
supplies
you know,
and
the-
stuff like that, coffee, the cups or.
The comma. Yeah.
Right?
This
Dennis?
is a general question. Why I went to those warrants earlier?
Yeah.
Because I wanted to think about the process, and I didn't know if you raised 316, which is what you said you raised.
Yep.
And it looks like the programs have been expanded.
Correct, yes.
And the total of what was in those warrants was just 250 or 249. Is that something we should consider while we're doing budgets, to increase the money he uses, or is that just to cover, can he make 500,000, it doesn't have to be in those warrants?
No, this is last year's warrant.
I know,
so-
I'm talking, what I'm asking
Yeah.
about,
Yeah.
is the time to talk about it.
I mean, what gets used in the enterprise zone?
Yes,
So you mean, on that line, should that get increased, so he's got the authorization to
right,
spend more?
right, because when I looked at it, we're under, I mean, basically, he says he had 116 to raise, he spent within the program, but we only authorized 250. Is this the time to discuss it, so that we know?
Well, and last year, that was the first time we'd had those warrant articles, and they went in fairly last minute, and we made our best guess.
Oh,
what
okay.
what
So you
needed
can
to
do
be
it
in
again.
there.
Okay.
So
Right now,
so
yeah.
this year, we'll be looking at what's actually approved in the budgets, how much he's projected to spend, and use those amounts.
Okay, so that answers that. That's what I was wondering, is to make sure it's enough, so that, in other words, it wasn't
Yeah, so-
illegal to use that extra 100,000, because it wasn't in the
Yeah,
warrant.
because otherwise, what
So-
would happen if you go over that, it would have to come back to a
A town
special
meeting.
meeting to approve the expenditure, same as if we get a grant, you have to approve spending the grant, so.
Yep, well, I'm just trying to cover it.
No, no,
I'm
for
not,
sure, yeah.
I'm just
Because, yeah,
looking
you're
to
right,
cover
it is
things.
increased from last year.
Right.
Because we've raised more.
You did great.
Revenues, yeah.
And the last thing I have for question, and it's come from a couple different citizens, and that is there any way if a person or family has more than one person, that we can't discount somehow for the second child? I mean, for the summer program in
Summer
particular.
camp program.
And I don't even
Yep.
know how many, I'd like to know how many Raymond residents enjoy it, because if we're up to 45 and growing,
Yeah, actually got those numbers.
you do.
Yeah, so.
That would be
I saw
lovely.
the questions before I got here, so I was like, I'm gonna jot these down. So this year we have, right now, 54 registrations for Camp Raymond.
Wow,
3 of those are non-residents.
that's even
yeah.
better.
And one of them's my daughter, so technically from Windsor.
'Cause
So yeah,
Let her feet over the
so we're
line.
95%. And the way we set up our camp structure, because we want to, I get you're paying for Riley and me to operate it. We're trying to cater it to Raymond residents, so we'll open up for the first week just for returners, which is Raymond, and then we open up just for Raymond for about 4 days, and then it goes to all anybody can register. So we're trying to prioritize Raymond residents because it is, realize that, our efforts are for.
That's music to my ears, that's what I was looking for.
He filled up really fast.
This is fantastic.
So is there a waiting list?
So we're moving people off the wait list. We're going to need 2 buses this year because that's how big we are. So we decided to, if you're on the wait list, then we're going to start moving you into registration. So we started that process right now, reaching out to families. So it's a good benefit, and I know we've increased our costs, but we make maybe $3 to $5 grand off that program, and it's completely self-sustaining now. So it's we're heading in that direction.
It's needed.
So it's unlikely that we'll be discounting the
So
second child?
yeah, it would have to be. We would have to fund it, and Sue and I have looked at other ways to fund a scholarship, and we looked at CDBG monies and stuff like that. The process is a little bit extensive, and then to have that system in place to make sure that it's appropriately being designated to those families. So it's going to be a little bit of time.
Yeah. And a lot of the grants, what we found is there are so many strings attached that would cost us more to implement them.
Make
than
sure you
it-
follow the rules.
Yeah, that's it, and
Yeah.
to do it, than it would be if the town subsidized.
I'm all for spending money on our citizens. If this helps keep the young people here, helps the old people get around as we get older. So it's
sure.
exciting to hear it. I just was hoping that we could find a way to accommodate people that have more than one child.
And I have, I don't want to advertise it too much, but I guess we're on TV, but I can stretch the payments out too, as long as they need. So if it's someone who approaches me, I can stretch the payment. Usually we pay before camp. I can stretch out if they're making those payments to November next fiscal year. So I'm willing to work with people as well, especially if they're volunteering as coaches and stuff like that. So.
Well, Joe, can you also explain,
Sure.
because you explained it to me, as far as when we've got lower numbers of kids, you've got to,
Yeah, the volume is
Yes.
tough. So like Camp Connor, for example, in Poland, they have a outdoor camp that has 110 children a week. That's why they can kind of lower to, I think it's 225 a week. So we're at 262 a week. So if we have a bigger spot, if we were at the school, we could probably have more kids, but and that would lower the cost. In our surveys, it's been primarily they love Camp Hines because it feels like a traditional camp. So that and the field trips piece of it was what people really loved, and then our staff, of course, who we're getting a few teachers in there and compensate them because they have degrees and they add a lot of value to that program as well.
thanks.
Chair Lockwood,
Yes, Don?
would it make sense possibly, Joe, to run an ad in the, or solicitation in the Roadrunner asking for donations to support scholarships? I think Dennis's point
Yeah.
is very important. There are lots of children who probably the parents can't afford that camp, and so I wonder if we ran some sort of a request for donations in the Roadrunner, if we wouldn't get, given the generosity of Raymond citizens, a
I think
sufficient
that's a
amount
good
of funds so that we could have adequate monies to provide scholarships for those in need.
Yeah, I think that's great. We have a special revenues donation line in our, which would be collecting that, and we could expense it right from our fund there. So I think that's a great idea. Put that out there.
But you also have to watch your numbers too, correct, per
Correct.
the adults
Yeah.
and stuff like that, yeah.
So I think it's a good idea. See if we can raise funds, and that might be better than a grant.
I mean, if people remember too, back in the day, when the ski program was being done, there was an outside group that did fundraising for that sole purpose, was to be able to turn that around and do scholarships and whatnot. So there is, it has been done in the town before. A group stepped forward, created themselves, did fundraisings. That's the ones that did the orange, the fruit sales and all those things. And they raised quite a bit of money there to be able to, and they turned that over to the ski program to have that. So so that's something too, that if there's people in town that have the desire to do something like that, that's a great way for them to get involved too, and step up and create a group, create some fundraisers, and be able to turn that money over that way.
That's a great idea.
Would that be like a Friends of
Friends of the Library.
Friends of, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Frank?
I talked to Joe about, I have one company that will be able to do a fundraising event. If it goes through, that'll be able to fund some Parks and Rec or summer camp or something. But it's like very early stages of that. For the
That'd be cool.
kids that he was talking about.
Howard Styles was
Multiple, either
Yeah.
multiple children or
Yes,
people that can't
Styles.
That's a
afford
great
it.
idea.
This has all been good news. I tell you, when I was going through the budget for 4 departments, I was up to 480,000 in 16,000 salaries, and I'm like, where's that all coming from? Made it a lot easier for you to explain that it's all
Yeah.
basically mini enterprise accounts.
We've been trying to systematically get it to the right place and right organization, so it can be clearly listed. I think Brenda's done a great job of getting us to that point too. So.
Frank has a question.
Joe, while you're planning your field trips, I'd like you to know that the Historical Society would love to have you bring kids up.
Okay, yeah.
In fact, we could, if we set up the dates, even have the blacksmith in-house.
Oh, wow.
And we'd be more than willing.
Kids will love
The
that.
highest number of volunteers I get to work in the museum is when we have school kids.
Yeah.
And we don't have many school kids come. Raymond has always sent the 4th grade
Yeah.
every single year. But when they know kids are coming, they come out of the woodwork.
Oh, that'd be
The
great.
rest of the year, I can't find them. But seriously,
Yeah.
we would love to work with you so that
Okay.
over the course of the summer, you might be able to do 3 or 4, depending on how that works out for you.
Pass that on to.
And we have a
Riley,
lot of
yeah.
things to see up there. I don't know if you've ever been there or not. but,
I've seen the compound, yeah, I haven't been inside and
you
looked
know, we
around.
have everything from 26 antique automobiles to
Oh, wow.
you name it.
That'd be great. Who is a contact? You?
Me.
Perfect. Okay, that's easy.
I know this is off the subject a little bit, but how many part-time people do you need to deal with 54 kids or 52 kids?
So we have on staff 30 between Tasseltop and our camp. We call it Camp Raymond. So there's Camp Raymond after school, and then the summer camp. That's probably about 16 or 17. So yeah, we're about 16, 17 part-time seasonal in summer camp, and then you're looking at about 14 at Tasseltop Park. So we're the biggest department when it, in the summertime. It expands, and the management of that becomes a lot larger, excuse me. So yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Are you
Don't
finished
watch
with
out,
your
you'll be right
presentation?
up there with the library.
I mean, that's the happiest place?
Okay. All right, thank you, Joe. All right, where are we?
Oh, general.
I have so much paper, I've lost my agenda.
Revenues.
Revenues. Yes, you can hold it.
Love me some revenue.
Expense and revenue reports.
Oh, and there's a separate revenue number.
I think I stuck it over with all this.
No, actually, I left it there.
Oh, you put it back?
There it is.
Yeah, I just left it in the back here. That thing there.
All right, who's running this show?
Wait, oh, do you have to be there?
Revenue.
Revenues.
The yellow tag.
Yeah, I didn't put it there. That's where it was.
Yeah, yellow tag.
Go to expense and revenues then.
Oh, yeah.
You have a sheet.
What'd you do?
Get out of here.
Yeah, you kind of at one point.
Fold it up.
No,
Oh.
faces.
Did I just take your pen?
Yeah, you spent.
Yeah.
Stole it. That's my
This
gel
big
for pen, too.
Sorry, Sue. Are you talking?
She's trying to help me.
Trying to
I've
help
got
Dennis.
paperwork.
Took out
I thought she was talking to the
It
whole
says,
group.
it says
right here.
revenue at the top.
Oh,
Okay, everybody ready with revenue?
It just says revenue.
Go to the
I'm sorry.
And it should- probably in the
Yeah, we're
back,
ready.
your expenses.
Is Sue gonna run the revenue?
Are you gonna do revenue? Okay.
Okay, all right, are we ready for Sue? Oh, hold on just a second,
Thank you.
please.
Well, there's a lot of paperwork shuffling around.
Okay,
Okay.
we're ready to go.
So, a lot of this is, well, all of it's kind of a shot in the dark, really, for revenue, to try and go out forward, and it's a matter of looking at the last, trends over the last years. With property tax, Brenda's still been working with the auditors and Trio to get the reports to report the numbers as they should be. And I think she's made some headway with that, but it's not finished yet. Once we can get that completely straightened out, we'll give you new expense and revenue reports. So the property tax here, where it says current at 10,622,000, you won't see that on any of your reports. That's calculated from the monies that have physically been brought in by Sukar and the staff for tax payments this year. So but it won't be reflected right now on your revenue reports. And we have roughly $7 million left. Sue is nearly finished stuffing the next tax bills, and those will be going out either Friday or early next week. And so monies will start coming in between now and April 30th. So we're in good shape to get the property taxes collected. I just made a best guess because until commitment, we won't know for sure what the tax what that tax number is going to be. And other than that, some of these numbers, the various departments made their best guess at, like the Public Works revenue, for instance, and public safety income. Bruce had given me a number on that. The library has some that are really hit or miss, so we didn't put a lot into what we thought that might be. And I believe, actually, not looking at this, the first number that Chris gave me for CEO fees, which is right smack dab in the middle, he gave me 210, but I believe at the last meeting he reduced that to 200, and I didn't change it on this spreadsheet, I realize.
Yeah, they bring it down. I know we've asked this in years past. What's miscellaneous revenue?
When we don't know where else to stick it, we stick it there.
But what would it be, like,
Well, I'm not actually sure, to be truthful with you.
Okay.
What has been coded to that.
I mean, we've
But
got-
it's when monies come in and we don't really have a category for it.
okay, so, yeah, we have 6.
So,
Yes,
if I could answer that question,
that would be lovely.
it could be an insurance claim, something where we receive money back from the insurance company due to an accident. There was a situation where you folks were involved in some sort of legal issues, and if we receive income from that, it's something that can go there as well. It's anything that we don't really collect necessarily on a regular basis, but we do have to have a holding place for it. So there really isn't a projection.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Perpetual care income. What's
Yeah. That's the money that's sitting there for people that bought plots.
Anybody know
That's
what
takes care of
DET
the-
means?
That's what takes care of the, helps take care of the plot cemetery.
This one?
It's-
Okay.
Good question.
It is.
No,
What's the question?
BETE
32
slash
3208.
Yeah, what is it?
Oh, better? That's, better is it's money that comes from the state, but it's based on inventory and whatnot at businesses.
Oh, yeah. We haven't,
It's a state disbursement to the town,
Yep.
based on inventory, is that what you said?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Is that one?
Investments again is what? I know it's money that's set into CDs type thing? Down at
Yeah, that Brenda can speak
3501.
better. Investments, Brenda?
So that will be anything that we have earned interest on, currently sitting at the bank. It could be any of your scholarship funds. You folks have several funds set up in that capacity. It's anything that we have at the bank.
That's the money plus the interest, not just the interest, correct?
No, that's the interest.
So 137,500 is just the interest collected?
Well, that one may include some of those scholarship type funds. So a portion of it is going to be part of it. For the most part, it's earned.
And that's a carryover, or is that earned every year, that amount?
Some of that's carryover.
Okay.
Just like now we have, I know the last session we had, there was a big discussion surrounding the fire company collecting a portion of the vehicle accidents.
Yep.
I did a great deal of research on that and found that, unfortunately, the way that that was set up, the revenue portion that came in would fall to fund balance at the end of each year. But I did find 2 donations that were not carried forward, which total over $14,000. So those funds, I'm going to try to set up in an account on the ledger where it can roll each year. And I did advise Chief that in the future, if you want to have those funds coming in from the vehicle collections to carry each year, we really should have it stated in a meeting formally. Now, a new statement made, and then I can set it up accordingly so that that's always carried over year.
Back on the investments, we don't use that as part of our general fund, do we? Because if you say you're rolling it over, this is revenues, I'm asking if this goes into the surplus, or whether it
No.
just rolls over and we don't use it?
It
How's
just
it
stays. It's a maintained balance.
Yeah, so we have it part of the total, though, of what,
You do, yes.
like we're going to be using it.
So.
Correct, that's
Mhm.
correct.
Yeah, okay, that is correct, good.
And I don't understand that.
What do you mean?
I don't know.
Well, if it's something we don't use, but it's in our budget to be used.
It's not a budget, well, it's just the total revenue.
Right, but at the bottom,
So-
this all goes towards what we use to offset the budget, what we think we're gonna bring in.
So let
Correct?
me
Oh,
try
you're
to
saying-
explain.
Yes,
Yeah.
I get what you mean.
Yeah.
now.
So what's up, Brenda?
So the way you have to look at it is on some of those funds, they are scholarship related. And if for some reason you wanted to pay out, so you may have it now as a revenue, but if you wanted to pay out, say, a big scholarship to somebody, a student, or do something special, you still want to show the revenue that you have now. And during that year, you may want to shift it. In other words, you would do a transfer out from that revenue account into an expense account to pay something out. But you at least want to always show what you have on the books.
I'm all for showing it, I'm just saying if we're
Yeah.
gonna use it to say we're offsetting the budget, is that good bookkeeping? And I think it wouldn't be, in my opinion. If it's interest we're using and we're not using it towards the general fund, but we're including it in the balance of what we can use to show the offset. And I'm looking at you, Chair, Mr. Chair.
Well, I mean, you'd have a you've got a balance sheet and you've got, so I mean, essentially, it's a balance sheet item because it's a asset that it's an asset that we own. Then you decide, I mean, so like on the scholarships, what happens there is what we're paying out in scholarships, we're doing it based on the interest that's earned on those funds. So from a balance sheet, you have an asset that's there, but we're not expending that asset, we're only expending the income from it.
You're
Okay.
taking that number over, but it's not necessarily we're not necessarily using it.
I thought that went into the tax rate. I thought we used this when we did our total budget, and we said we're raising $8 million, or for part of the tax rate of revenue. So it's not the huge number, it's only 125,000, but I'm trying to figure out how it works, because I need to be educated on this whole thing.
I mean, ultimately, when we decide on what we'll make the decision on how much of that revenue we're gonna say that we're gonna use against that. Because there's still, if you remember, there's still two big issues that we don't know. I don't think we've received yet.
RSU?
I don't think we received the final county tax bill.
We have not.
Okay. So that's, what we're going is based on an estimate of what we got there. And what's plugged in is the estimate, which actually was last year's budget for the school. We know that's gonna be higher, so we don't know. So what happens is when we get down to looking at doing the commitment and whatnot, then you're gonna look at it and say, okay, we're gonna use this amount of money out of there to set the tax rate.
And that would be the only account on this whole sheet that we'd have to really look at, is not really part of that.
Right.
That
Because your property tax line is driven
Right.
by the commitment.
Right.
So it's one of those that final number, you don't know until we have the final numbers and come up with the total commitment.
Okay.
Because that's also gonna factor where the new overall valuation comes in.
Mhm.
I mean, not the reval, but I mean, there's, you've got, Kurt's always updating that based on new construction and whatnot, so we've got we have what the actual, on paper, town valuation is. Which can always be somewhat of a moving target.
And I also know some of these are just estimates. We do the best we can, but 125 is a large number.
Yeah.
That's why I raised the issue, so. All right, thank you for the answer. I'm excited, that's a lot of revenue. Hey, we're at the end.
Don't jinx it.
Yeah.
Settle down over there.
Oh my God, seriously.
Any other questions or comments on revenue? Everybody all set? John, you all set? Don, did you have any questions or comments?
No?
Okay, all right. So,
Did you get that much on fire?
Yes, we did pretty good.
I don't think we got that much on.
Is there gonna be an opportunity for general questions at the end? Or are we done?
well, I don't have any comments on here on the agenda. It's just adjournment.
Madam Chair, this is a workshop.
Right.
And while it is not required to have public comment, it can be granted if requested. So.
Then I guess I would like to ask a question if I could,
Okay, I'll
related to the
take
budget.
those questions, then you, Peter. Okay, go ahead, Don.
First, thank you for putting together the spreadsheet of all the requests. And so, when it says open requests, those are requests that are yet to be answered, is that right?
Yes.
I'd like somebody from administration, I guess it would be the town manager, to explain why we're not getting the information that we're requesting. Thank you.
You are getting a lot of the information you've requested. Some of it was handed out tonight. Some of it are things that have been requested, for instance, the CIP, and in the middle of budget season is not the time to develop a new CIP. You have all the information, and actually, part of your ordinance is for the Budget Finance Committee to develop a CIP. So those requests won't be done during this budget season. We can help with that afterwards, but we've given you all the information pertaining to all of the equipment and whatnot.
I would respectfully like to say that the request should be answered within the same week that they're made.
They'll be answered when they can be answered. And most of the requests, like requests from yesterday, were sent in at 3:30 in the afternoon requesting data for tonight. And that's not something that could happen. It will
Once
happen.
again-
It will happen by the next workshop next week. And that was the answer I gave, Madam Chair.
Well, once again, a non-response is not helpful to the budget committee or anyone else. Thank
Don.
you.
Well, I do know that I requested to have the past record of the CIP from the departments. I went through, the fire department had this, and Public Works was one in particular. And so that we could do that when I was on the Budget and Finance Committee. So that one has been asked for several times in the last year,
That-
2 years.
That
But-
was in the past. One of the procedures is we go through this, and
I know that, I know that. I'm just saying, if the Budget Committee is going to be working on it, and we have all the past records on stuff, it's good to see where the money went, so we can lay out a plan for the future. That's how you do it. I look at what I spent last year to figure my next year's budget. So, and I did request it, that's what I'm saying. But we're all done here anyway.
Yes, we're done.
We've moved on to some pretty good improvements here.
Okay. So, just to be clear, for the things that were requested on 2/26, will there be a response back for each of these items that either they're going to be worked on or they're not?
All of the CIP where you're asking for formatting, That won't be happening in this budget season.
Okay, I would just like to respectfully ask that I get a response to each one of these items that are numbered here, that are dated, requested on 2/26 or prior, just so that I can close them out with,
There's a number of them I have already given you, the copies of things you've asked for and whatnot, handed out in meetings.
The opinion letter we do have, right?
what I will do is I will take all of this paper and I will go back and compare it to the request list.
Yeah.
So that I know, but there was a lot of paper handed out here tonight. So I'm just
There was.
asking if maybe it's as simple as item 1. I followed that up on Monday. That was requested on 2/19, and I followed that up on Monday, March 3rd, with an email asking if there were some option dates for a meeting with the auditor, with the budget committee and the select board, and I
And
haven't.
that I'm working with the chair of the select board on.
Okay. Well, I didn't know that. It just, there's a lot of pieces here tonight, and I'm just
I'll go
asking.
down through the list tomorrow.
Okay, all right, thank you. That would be appreciated. That's all I have. Anybody have anything else? Oh, Peter, would you like a quick comment, please?
Teresa has 11 quick questions.
No, it's not.
Peter Levitt, 2 Levitt Road. Thank you, Madam Chair, for extending me this courtesy. I would say that I am gratified from the perspective of the comprehensive plan. The things that I have heard tonight from the department directors is pretty much in line with the draft comprehensive plan. Town sponsorship for kids at Raymond Rec, forming more sense of community, mapping culverts, equipment for improvement of road shoulders, exploring a TIF, a new TIF, public transportation, grant writing, all of those, and I'm sure you're all very familiar with the comprehensive plan, are contained in the comprehensive plan. They didn't come from me, they didn't come from Kayla, they came from those citizens in the town of Raymond that were engaged in the plan. So my compliments to you for identifying those things. Just some quick thoughts as far as the TIF is concerned. The one thing that I would bring up that Kurt mentioned at the last meeting was the fact that it is kind of time sensitive if you want to get the most out of a TIF. What Kurt was saying is that the current valuation will obviously change soon, and most probably that valuation will go up. Therefore, we will have less of an opportunity to claw money back through the designated TIF areas. So he did make it quite clear that it was time sensitive. I just bring that up for your workshops and discussions going forward. As far as the discussion as far as transportation, the chair of the select board was kind enough to send us a very small list of changes that the select board and others in the town feel would be appropriate. Most of its language within the comprehensive plan. We're going to discuss it at the April 11th select board meeting. One thing that he did suggest, which makes perfect sense, was the fact that rather than be specific, so let's say identify RTP, it'd be much better to, in the language of that comprehensive plan, especially since it's going to go over 10 or 15 years, to say, investigate opportunities for more in the way of public transportation. And so that makes perfect sense to me. I know that Selectman McKillop, but I mean, committee member McKillop brought that up because he knew that I had worked on that as he had on the comprehensive plan. Understand, it was the community that used that verbiage. It wasn't something that Sean decided to put in, or Frank decided to put in, or I decided to put in. That came from the community. So anyway, one other thing that I started to say before was this. In August, a year ago, I spoke after the notice came out on the town website about the fact that RTP would not be providing services or stopping in the town of Raymond, and it was just like a one-sentence blurb, no explanation or anything else. I felt compelled in my activity as the comprehensive plan co-chair to call up the executive director and ask him what's going on. This is what he told me. What he told me was, for a number of years, every other town in the circuit for RTP on Route 302 contributed $10,000, and that Raymond was a holdout. And what we did do is we did appropriate $4,000 to support that service for a couple of years. And basically what the executive service director told me was, I'm getting so much heat from the other towns on that circuit that are paying the $10,000 we request, that I just can't continue to provide that service to Raymond at a discounted price. I've got no way to be able to validate that with the other members. And therefore, he stopped several years ago coming before this group and asking for money. And I asked him, well, what would it take to turn the service back on? He goes, you pay your fair share, I can turn it on in 2 days. So, and understand it's not a free service. There's a ticket involved as well. That $10,000 is basically its maintenance. It contributes to the maintenance of the service. So as far as saying that it's, Raymond is subsidizing Naples because they pay the same amount for the ticket, well, I guess you could say that Wyndham and Gray and Portland are subsidizing Raymond because they're paying the same fee as well. That's not the issue. And I guess I would just lastly say, we're talking about $10,000 to be able to say we have some public transportation in the town. And this other scheme, it sounds great to me. I think this is wonderful. We can go out and we can buy handicap accessible vans, and we can find volunteers or pay people to drive if you can find the people to drive, and then take on the staffing and all the other issues involved in that. But I'm saying that's all work and it's all money. But I'm talking about being able to provide a service in 2 days to the town for $10,000. So I just ask you to consider that. Dingley Brook, the gentleman from Thomas Pond Association spoke about, along with its environmental importance to the town. And you can probably get it from the name, Dingley Brook. It also has a historic, and it also has an archaeologic value to it. And therefore, protecting by way of providing for that dam to be provided in good repair is important for the town for a number of reasons. And so I just ask you to consider that. Auto trash pickup, just be prepared that if we're not doing that within the next couple of years, and I heard that we're going to be negotiating a contract soon, those contracts are going to go up. And it's because the large companies that do the automatic pickup are doing it primarily because they can't find people to do it. And the people that they have are chronically getting injured, so their workers' compensation goes through the roof. So it's going to come. It's going to happen sooner rather than later. And so just to be prepared, that's coming down the road. And lastly, I happen to know a little bit about keeping old vehicles running and not rusting out in New England. And I will tell you, it's a great idea to undercoat. But my experience has been, if you don't get that undercoating initially when you buy the car, the effectiveness of the undercoating on a 3 or a 4-year-old car that's seen 3 or 4 winters in New England drops dramatically. I know we buy used cars. I know we save on that end. I would just say that if what we want to do is get more longevity out of the trucks and cars we have, get them undercoated as soon as possible, because it's not going to be as effective if it wasn't done at the factory. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, we are adjourned.